right, welcome back, everybody. We are back on stream, getting back into game number 1. Apex currently coming on in, looking for another engage. Kelpo,
hey,
the first
TP
one, gets knocked up, and he will be taken down. TP is coming through from Xiao Danny. You called it before the break, Quacks. What's he going to be able to do? Goes in for the hook, is going to be able to connect it onto Season. That's going to be Lee Sin Q coming through onto Mixture, trying to turn it back around, flashing forward to get onto Shogo, and he will be executed by Season.
Oh!
In goes Mike Young, getting the extra damage off of the resonating strike, and now Mixture's got nowhere to go. It's a double kill to Mike Young on Lee Sin.
I can see the future, Gordo. Pauses will not deter me from telling you what is going to happen. Xiao Danny with the teleport and Mike Young with the sonic kicks to get the job done. Apex get a winning fight on the bot side, and now Cassante, another casualty for Bob Jenkins, as this rumble is 4-1. Team Apex looking to pull ahead in this game. And Gordo, now that we're back from the break, I feel like we can get a restock of the win conditions. Apex are currently up 2 dragons, so Contingent are going to be forced to fight them eventually at these Drake objectives, and that just feels like such a difficult thing to think of. This is a much more superior team fighting topside, and with the Lulu, it just makes it so hard to get onto the Vayne, who will be free hitting the entire time. Meanwhile, Contingent don't really have a lot of utility to get Daption those rocket jump resets. He's not going to be able to jump around in the fight, so it is a very good position here for Apex and a very difficult position for Contingent now that we have coasted around the 15 to 16 minute mark.
Yeah, definitely is here. And now that we find ourselves here about 16 minutes in, it's crested to over a 3,000 gold lead for Team Apex. They really have got everything in their favor at this stage. Advantages in pretty much every single lane. Contingent do have themselves a scaling Tristana. Is going to be a big range advantage, and they're still going for these 2-on-2s. Mixture going to get onto Kelpo. The buster shot sends him over the wall without getting the kill. In goes Sternfire, finds one knockup, but they just can't lock down Shogo on the Vayne. He dances his way out of the fight, tumbles back in for a double kill. Mixture's got no pathway out. Xiao Danny will lock him down with a staggering strike, and Apex will clean up 3.
It's Mixture and it's Sternfire trying to look for these engages, but just no damage is there to be able to finish off the kills. Now Mike Young is going forward.
Diving forward on towards Mel, the lockdown under the turret.
Oh!
And there is going to be, what? Mike Young stays alive, survives the last turret shot with a moonstone heal from Kelpo.
Yeah.
And Apex just can do nothing wrong.
They are playing these fights so mechanically well, and it was just a minute ago, Gordo, that you said there was a 3,000 gold lead for Team Apex. Look at what it is now. Staring down the barrel of a team that has that on top of what is likely to be a Dragon Soul point.
Really good stuff here. Be able to come on up with another set of kills on the side of Apex. Diving forward here, Sternfire trying to get onto Shogo, and that's going to be the name of every fight. Contingent just need to full send onto Shogo basically every fight. Unfortunately, they've been punished for that time and time again.
Yeah, they really have been. It feels like a difficult game for Contingent to play, but this is what the comp is built to do. It's built to go in, it's built to engage, and when you don't have that gold difference, when you aren't able to just hands check all of the opponents like it feels like Contingent has been able to do so far throughout their playoffs run, you run into some problems. So I feel like they are starting to see that Team Apex are no ordinary squad.
Equalizer layer down by Jenkins, going to force a jump out from Daption, and just like that, the majority of Contingent's damage are zoned out of the fight. Diving forward again, Mixture going to be the first one to be knocked up. Sternfire going to be next up on the menu. There's going to be a Golden Eclipse thrown out by Season to be able to claim 1 kill back on a Xiao Danny, but it's already a triple kill for Shogo. Nobody can stand up to the Vayne. Another tumble forward will secure the ace for the likes of of Apex for just 1 kill onto Xiao Danny. Apex continues to win team fight after team fight, and now they bring their gold lead to over 8,000.
Oh,
and with
what?
that, it's a forfeit from Contingent in game number 1.
In a grand finals? Have we ever seen that before in an ACL? Gordo, you're the historian here.
I feel like there was one in the early days. I feel like I recall somebody FFing, or maybe Middle Sticks FF'd a game, or somebody FF'd a game 2 Middle Sticks. That's like in the back of my brain somewhere. It might have been like a lower final and not a grand final, but that is a rough one for game number 1.
That certainly is. And honestly, I got to give a lot of credit over to Shogo and Kelpo. There were some rough spots with the 2v2, but I felt like Team Apex understood that if you just give Shogo the ball, if you just give this man the resources and prevent Surenfire from being able to interfere in that 2v2, eventually Shogo is going to pull ahead of his opponent. So that's exactly what happened. The Vayne Lulu was too strong. The Tristana, whose sole purpose is to go in and fight to scrap, wasn't able to keep up with the damage. It was Yuntal versus Storm Raiders, Storm Raiders, no. What's the item? It's Yasuo's sword. Storm Razor.
Okay.
I was thinking Storm Raider.
I was on a way better track to naming the item before you said it's Yasuo's sword. Now you got me thinking a whole different set of facts. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL. We think we have got the stream resolved. If we don't, we have a backup plan. We can swap up prod for game number 2 if need be. So hopefully we've got everything fixed on up. Thank you all for bearing with us. We are ready to get into draft for game number 2. I believe the teams have already actually completed the draft. We will replay it. We haven't seen it yet.
Nope.
Production will replay it for us while we get the in-game draft completed. So should be pretty short order until we're able to get for that one. Game number 1. An FF from Contingent, a tough early game for them, especially in the bottom lane, where a couple of all-ins,
especially in the top lane. I mean, Jenkins got
all 3 lanes. They went all-ins that did not work. Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like Seas of Leaves can be exempt from that a little bit. There wasn't a ton of kill threat from the Nautilus mid, especially because he had to burn Flash early, he had to burn Teleport early, but the side lanes in the jungle matchup,
he didn't have to burn Flash early. He burned Flash early going for an aggressive play to block the Dredgelock.
And then they got the Flash off of Daption, I believe, so that secured a kill onto Shogo. So if you think about it, it was worth. Anyway, now that we are maybe into draft for game number 2, I do think it is also worth noting the jungle matchup, Gordo, was something that we highlighted as being really important going into this best of 5. And I felt like Mike Young just had Surefire's number. He wasn't invading him a whole lot. He wasn't like killing the Wukong on repeat like we saw in the top lane matchup with Gygar versus Jenkins, but he was preventing the Wukong from having any influence in the game whatsoever. Surefire was so good at being able to just, once he power farms and gets to be at a tempo advantage over his counterpart, influence the lanes, and then just with the resources that he has, run over the rest of the game. But Mike Young on the Lee Sin completely shut him down. He was not able to influence the 2v2 in top at all. He wasn't able to make a difference in the top lane 1v1. It just felt like Lee was policing the Wukong around constantly, preventing him from actually having a say at how the early to mid game went. So a lot of credit does have to go over to the jungler of Team Apex, who we said we had our eyes on going into this best of 5.
Yeah, definitely a really strong game from Mike Young on his signature Lee Sin. For those LCS old heads out there, they'll know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. Very fun game from him, but that's going to be Fearless away for the rest of the series. So not going to be able to pull out that trick again. And we'll have to see exactly what course of action is going to be pursued by both of these squads now coming into the second game. Could see a couple of really, really close engagements in that early game, just not going Contingent's way and really lost them control. Karma going to be the first pick for Apex. That's going to be going into the hands of Kelpo as his most played for the playoffs so far.
All right, so now Contingent have the opportunity to steal away some of the good pairings. Ezreal is still open and available if they want to try and give that over to Daption on 1-2, or they could pivot and pick a bot lane of their own, like the Ashe Seraphine. That is still open and available. Lucian Melio is also still on the board, but I do think that if you're dealing with a mobile bot laner like the potential Ezreal coming through here from Apex on 2-3, it is difficult to make use of the short-ranged aggressive bot laners like the Corki and Lucian. So maybe would advise against that, and we might just see a poke 2v2 come through here, which would be a stark departure from what we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, there's going to be the Bard Ezreal coming on through.
So there's the
for Contingent, and should give them that real good security in the bottom lane, should be able to hold things down, allow Mixture to roam around the map. This guy's got a really strong Bard, and I think unlocking him to be able to go and have some influence, be able to stop Mike Young from running amok, definitely going to be a big boon.
Yeah, so now that the Ezreal is taken away, I wonder what else they're thinking about giving over with this Karma. I mean, the Caitlyn is still available. Jhin is also still on the board if they maybe want to give Shogo a more facilitative role, but that's not usually Shogo's style, so I would be interested to see if that Jhin does come out. So it actually will be the Caitlyn. They are just going to try and match poke for poke, and I think what the Caitlyn does do is it makes it more difficult for Bard to roam around the map. This is a bot lane that is very good at getting push and wave clearing and keeping the Ezreal under his turret. And if Ezreal is constantly under his tower, Gordo, it significantly limits what Mixture can actually do around those solo lanes. And there is the Bob Jenkins Kennen, Gordo. Would you believe it?
It's surprised to see go through the picks and bans.
I love it.
Flip its way through in game number 1. Jenkins does not frequently get access to the Kennen. in competitive games. We'll see if we find out why here or what has been prepped for this by Geiger. But this guy, he's made his name on this cannon. This has been his one trick for long before he started playing competitive, and remains his most played to this day.
All right, so you could go the Galio. It's like a substitution for the Rumble, but I think it still gives the same effects if you decide to have that matchup, just preventing the Kennen from snowballing and also making it more difficult for him to teamfight. You could also go the Ornn if you really value the scaling and the ornaments to go along with the Ezreal. It really feels like Contingent would be indexing more into the late game if they decided to go that route, which is a dangerous route to take against champions like Caitlyn, who once they get 4 items can really start to just take over the entire game.
Now coming on through, Contingent going to be rounding out the first round of picks. Do they want to try to take a counter pick to the Kennen here? Yes, they do.
Whoa, okay.
It's our boy. It's the Malphite. I guess this could be Malphite jungle too. It is 2026 after all, but
it is.
I think it's likely that this is a top lane counter.
It probably is, and I think this also means that the rest of the Contingent draft that we are yet to see here on 4-5 really has to do a good job at capitalizing off of the Unstoppable Force. That is a very immediate go button. That starts up fights instantly, so you need champions with their own set of AoE tools that can really make use of that setup, and I just feel like right now, the Ezreal isn't really that. The Bard has the Tempered Fate to be able to set that up, but you need something with a lot of firepower that can really back up the Malphite, on top of it being a counter, of course, to that Kennen, like you're talking about, Gordo. So I think this is really where we could start to see some Season of Leaves cooking. I mean, the Lux is still open and available. The Hui is still open and available. These are 2 champions that have excessive amounts of AoE and could very easily pair up nicely with the Malphite, and the Lux will in fact be locked in.
Lux coming on through in the mid lane for Contingent. It is going to be Season back on one of his favorite picks in the mid lane. This will be Blind, but was critical for them in their game up against Calamity. Really did a lot to secure them the game 4 win. Stole a Baron, secured a whole bunch of pick kills. This is this guy's best champion, and they're going to bring it out here in game number 2 to try to equalize the series.
All right, so now I think this might be where Xiao Danny can go for an AD mid laner, one of those marksmen that we talked about, because you've already got an excessive amount of AP with Karma being more on the damage side of supports, and then Kennen giving you that magic damage. You aren't locked in to going a mage, but if you were to go a mage, I think Syndra could be a nice answer to try and pick off and really take advantage of the Lux's immobility. I think Scatter the Weak has a lot of value into targets like that, but then there are still things like the Akshan available. You've still got the Lucian on board. There are AD mid laners you could take. Even the Yone I wouldn't absolutely hate, but then it really means that you are forced to give Mike Young something akin to a tank, because Apex don't really have a frontliner in their draft so far.
Finally, it's now going to be Ari to lock in for Xiao Danny. Both the mid laners on their best champion in game number 2. What a day to be alive. As the Vi going to come on through for Mike Young. And now expecting Schernfire's pick or perhaps Geiger's pick to round out the draft. It's going to be the Pantheon for Schernfire, locking the Malphite into the top lane.
All right, so a lot of single target damage here, Gordo. I mean, you've got pick potential on Apex, you've got pick potential on Contingent, so I think really what it's going to come down to is being first to these objectives and carving out space so that the enemy team are the ones face checking into you. You can use things like the Charm, you can use things like the Vault Breaker, you can even use things like the Karma Tether to pick off some of these targets that might be away from where they're supposed to. And on the side of Contingent, I mean, there's the Light Bind, there is the Pantheon W. There are so many different ways to stun up targets from both sides of this matchup that I think it's really going to come down to who is more proactive at being first to the objective and who is able to be quicker on the trigger.
Yeah, does look like we are ready to get into game here. I hear sounds in the background. We can kick off game number 2. Apex taking on Contingent in the grand finals. A 1-0 lead to Apex. Now coming in with the Caitlyn Karma for game number 2. Let's see how this bot lane 2v2 continues to play out. Season of Leaves coming down to get things started. Great dodge from Kelpo. Gets himself away from the Cosmic Binding, and I think that's going to save his life.
Yeah, also doesn't have to expend the heal, so Apex's bot lane retaining all of their summoner spells ahead of the lane. Of course, Kelpo going to be delayed in getting back to the lane, so this will give push, at least temporarily, over Adaption and Mixture to maybe deny Shogo some of these initial creeps, the gold at the very least for the creeps. I think he'll still be able to pick up the experience regardless in the 1v2, but you can even see Mixture just patrolling that bush is trying to prevent even that. So early lead, although very granular early lead for the Contingent bot lane.
Really good start to be able to stay alive there. They don't even end up having to expend summoner spells. It is a very early invade from Schernfire, though.
Yeah.
And I think it went undetected because of the level 1 action bottom lane. So I think Schernfire is just going to get away with starting on Mike Young's red side and is just going to be able to walk on out.
And Mike Young on the Vi needs to be a champion getting level 6, so this invade is going to prevent him from being able to do that. There is also that ward on the Raptors, and you can see pings are coming through from the side of Contingent that Mike Young might actually look to cut across because he realizes, hey, the Pantheon isn't on his top side yet when he should be. Those Raptors should have been taken by now, so that means I'm getting invaded, but it doesn't look like Kelpo and Shogo get the message.
Yeah, going in, flashing away. Shogo will have to expend that summoner spell. Kelpo used the heal as well. Schernfire going to go for a little bit of action up against Kelpo regardless. Gets a bare bit of damage off of the E. Shogo running down Mixture, though, has to dodge out on the Peacemaker. Does hold on to the summoner heal. They do absorb that pressure of the early Schernfire gank, and it is Mike Young going for the vertical split now. They will not be with a buff advantage.
All right, so again, it's Mike Young reading the play, but Shogo is going to be forced to burn that flash, so will make it a little bit more difficult for the Caitlyn Karma to play up as far as they have been so far in the lane. And also Schernfire, because he realizes his top side is being taken, he can just immediately go back to bot lane. So this split map is actually going to mean a repeat gank could come sooner rather than later. So Shogo and Kelpo probably going to push in this wave and then immediately decide to get back here. Maybe they auto the turret a couple of times to get a plate, but really making sure you don't overstay is crucial when you don't have this flash. And you know that Schernfire, the pathing is already kind of messed up here for the junglers and a little bit more on the unpredictable side.
You're going to be taking a little bit of pressure underneath the tower there. Does expect to have a rough early laning phase on the Malphite into the cannon. The range melee disadvantage certainly going to be at play there. But I'm trusting that the team fighting power and potentially even a little bit of solo kill pressure up against a squishy lane opponent going to play in here. He is on that Arcane Comet setup, and he is going for some early AP.
He is. So this is going to mean Bob Jenkins can kind of keep turning up the heat in this matchup because you're not building any magic resist. So I'm actually kind of questioning what that build decision is going to do for the Malphite in the long run. It just kind of feels like it is going to be a rough laning phase, but eventually, surely he goes for some magic resist. As we can see Mike Young looking for something in the bot side, but he's actually going to be spotted. So the Vi trying to find something pre-6, but will be seen attempting that. Meanwhile, we can also see Schernfire on the same side. What is this Pantheon going to do? He's got a cool wraparound angle here.
Does get the root onto Mixture, does pop the summoner heal nice and early, and manages to hold on to the flash. Exhaust out of Adaption, directed on towards Mike Young. Will be able to keep them alive as junglers constantly visiting this bottom lane, and junglers interacting with each other now inside the Tri-Brush. Schernfire got the jump onto Mike Young, takes him for about half his HP. But all parties will walk away with their lives, a little bit bleeding, a little bit bruised, but no first blood secured as of yet.
So we're kind of seeing shades of what happened in game number 1 here, Gordo, where Vi or Mike Young is just constantly on this bot side as All in coming through here from Jenkins, but I don't think he's going to get the kill. Geiger is actually going to be forced to burn that flash, but we are seeing on this bot side, Vi is making sure that Surefire's influence in the matchup is minimal. Is flash going forward?
And there's the first blood. Jenkins with minions under the turret picks up the solo kill. Down goes Geiger, and Apex are on the board first, over 1K in the lead, and so much of that sitting on this cannon.
And no teleport either, so Geiger going to miss a lot of resources. Surefire is on this top side, and you can see he's wrapping around. Might actually be able to get a return kill here with no flash on the cannon. We'll have to see.
Is certainly going to be the gold here. He is down 3 levels. We'll go for the early jump in, and I do think we'll be able to finish this out. Has to be responsible, though. I think that needed to be an empowered Q. He's going to flash and get it anyway. And Surefire's solo kill right back will equalize the kill score at 1-1.
But he has to commit the flash, and I feel like you could just feel the slight annoyance there from Surefire needing to commit that summoner spell. And also, because he shows topside, we can see, just like last game, Gordo, a sneak onto the dragon, a good cross-map play here from Team Apex onto the bot side objective, just utilizing what they know on the map to try and get these resources around. And not only is this going to be a dragon, but you can see Apex on this bot side are now going to be able to carve out this part of the map and continuously make it more difficult for Surefire to interact. But crucially, that Pantheon is level 6 now, so he doesn't necessarily need to walk to the lane in order to influence it. He can just drop from the sky.
Ugh. Have you seen Thunderclap on this Coral Malphite skin? That's disgusting. What?
Dude, half of Malphite's skins are disgusting.
What are they? This isn't the Coral Malphite. This is the Sandcastle Malphite.
Yeah, this is Sandcastle Malphite. That's actually worse. That's a new skin.
That visual is terrible. Speaking of terrible, Jenkins going for the all-in, making life so hard for this Malphite. He's going to get pushed out of the lane again. Down 20 CS here. It's Xiao Danny looking for him. Dashes in, connects Mixture at his back. Geiger staying alive underneath the turret. Xiao Danny will tank up turret shots, will stay alive. Meanwhile, dive at the bottom side will go Mike Young's way. He's able to finish off Daption through the flash. Mixture hunting down Xiao Danny will get that kill back.
I mean, Mixture getting the kill after a bunch of gold went over to prime targets on the side of Team Apex is the most worth it thing I have ever seen there, Gordo. It's pressure exerted on the bot side for Team Apex. Jenkins as well is going to be able to collect yet another play on this Wukong, so he's getting closer and closer to completing that first item. Apex is just playing the map better. They're playing the macro superior, and now that the grubs are up, it feels like it is more gold to be funneled into these side lanes who have already been just knocking at these plates continuously.
A tough ask here for Contingent now. They find themselves down 1,000 gold, but the gold allocation feels very, very good for Apex here. Getting that early kill onto Shogo, getting an early kill onto Xiao Danny. Now, Kelpo taking a magical journey that may be a little bit inadvisable. He's going to take a lot for that. But another return Peacemaker. Ooh, taking him low, but a flash auto from Mixture. Following a well-placed true shot barrage from Daption. Will give a 2 versus 2 kill right back to the Contingent duo.
But probably not who they wanted to receive the gold. Mixture ends up getting the kill, and I just feel like Daption is falling further and further behind in this game. He's already delayed on getting his first item because he is a tier champion. Let's hang on, Xiao Danny.
Oh, flash for it. Solo kill the season to return for the kill roamed top earlier. Contingent take the kill lead.
And now Mike Young has to show in mid, so Surefire is on this top side. He's ulting toward the top lane, or not ulting, he doesn't have ult, but he is looking toward the top lane. Instead of looking for a gank, though, is just going to relegate himself to the grubs, which feels like it's more of a denial rather than a secure, just because of how much prio Apex have gotten. Jenkins almost finding his second solo bolo of the game, but Geiger ulting away. I don't think we have seen an aggressive, unstoppable force yet so far.
I think that's the only unstoppable force we've seen yet so far.
We've seen a few. They've all been defensive, though. He's had to run away in every single one.
It's been tough for Geiger up in this top lane. I mean, we knew this was going to be a hard early laning phase. I think that first kill, though, really
He's building full AP still, by the way. He has a lost chapter. It's not getting any better.
He's against a squishy team comp. I don't dislike the idea, but I do think it's quite backbreaking to have given up that early kill. still, I don't know that full tank is going to turn things around much either. Here's an engage to the bottom side. Surnfire going to be able to throw up the shield, stay alive for a little bit longer. Actually dipping it away from Xiao Danny, who gets exhausted. Will be able to finish off the kill for Shogo, but Daption claims one right back. True Shot Barrage comes across, does not find its mark. And it is a 2-for-1 exchange that favors Contingent. Over the wall, though, Mike Young finds Daption. No tools left available. Used the shift just for mobility, and it'll even up the kill score. It's Apex taking the fight 2-2.
And this gives Shogo so much more power to stay in the lane and chip away at these turrets. The grubs weren't given over to Apex, but that doesn't matter. If you're the team getting first brick and you're not the team that got grubs, that just makes the grubs so much more obsolete. And we can also see, because the Caitlyn is able to stay, get that first item off of the redeploy, a bunch of Apex members are going to get their first items ahead of this dragon and be really strong. So Contingent, I just don't think have any horse in this race when contesting here on this bot side.
Going to be a 2 to 3K lead, 2K lead to be specific, coming in for the likes of Apex for the second dragon spawn. It is Surnfire on the objective first, so Contingent appear to have an intent to play for it. Harassment coming through from Season. This guy's got his Malignance ready. He's really starting to hurt.
Oh, Danny.
He's able to accomplish Xiao Danny. Ends up face checking the laser from Season of Leaves. Will put Xiao Danny down and give Contingent the numbers advantage for this dragon.
All right, so Contingent now are going to actually be able to go on to the objective. You can see, though, Mike Young is waiting in the wings. Doesn't have ult, so there really is no snap engage available for Team Apex without that crucial ult available.
There's Tempered Fate, does connect onto Shogo. Won't be able to find the Cosmic Binding, though. And I mean, this top lane, Contingent have abandoned it, but oh boy, is Jenkins building up quite the lead here. CS-wise, nearly double. Gonna go with the ultimate. Another solo kill to Jenkins.
All right, so it looks like Dragon is going to go the way of Contingent, but it's just more plates, it's more gold given over to this Kennen. And you gotta believe that even if you get the Drake, it actually resets, so they're not gonna be able to get it. Contingent, the play just completely fizzles out. They're missing out on so much with the cross map because Jenkins, he's getting plates, he's getting solo kills. This Kennen is getting massive, and you're not getting anything for it on the bot side, Gordo.
Yeah, the Dusk and Dawn Kennen build making an appearance here from Bob Jenkins on his masterful Kennen. This has been his one trick for basically his entire career.
I mean, yeah.
Never gets it in ACL games, and I think we're learning firsthand why here in the grand finals.
He's turning into Zeus, and Contingent have no Kratos on their team, so like they can't counterpick any God Slayers. They've got nothing to be able to deal with him, but Pantheon is man dropping in.
Yeah, they do have Shogo cut off. He's stuck inside of that alcove, but they just returned fire on Adaption, and Mike Young basically one-shots him. Nobody getting onto Shogo. Finally, Surnfire will be able to get that kill back. Geiger's in the bot lane to get a little bit of action. Does put an assist on the board for himself, and it'll be a 1-for-1 exchange.
But you got to believe for how many resources they committed to trying to make that play work, Contingent probably wanted more there, Gordo. But because Shogo was able to wrap around that alcove and essentially split all of Contingent away from the rest of Team Apex on that bot side, they weren't able to continue the chase. They weren't able to pursue any more kills. The rest of Apex were too far away at that point. They were on the other side of the bot lane. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. And for how much you gave up, i.e. giving more plates over to Jenkins and making this Kennen much larger, it just doesn't feel like they are getting nearly enough for themselves given the effort they are putting in for these picks.
Yeah. Now, this is going to be a firm 2,000 gold lead for Contingent. We have seen they do have some really powerful Wombo ulti combos they had for themselves here. Unstoppable Force plus Laser is not to be disrespected. Much closer than game number 1 so far here. Not in FF territory, that's for certain.
Hopefully not. You never know. But anyway, Dragon going to be secured here by Apex, and all of the work that Contingent were trying to put on toward this bot side to secure this objective going to be for naught. So Drake stacking, yet again, a win condition for Apex here in game number 2, just as it was in game number 1. Mixture, you cheeky little boy, steals away the Scuttle Crab on the bot side. You know, that's like That's like wounding a jungler's pride, Gordo. Now he's gonna attack you the entire game. You are his ult target until the Nexus explodes, no matter what side that be on.
Shogo plucking away at Daption's health bar here, taking him to about half. And will be able to at least take that bot lane turret with the additional pressure provided by Mike Young. Apex just continuing to get a little bit more here and there as the game goes forward.
I'm just waiting for the Kennen to get onto the map.
To arrive, yeah.
I can't wait. Like, this is gonna be insane. He's gonna get like a big 5-man shockwave. What is the really famous esports shockwave where they find it's against G2, I think, right?
I don't remember who he finds them all against. All I know is that play is really a wolf play. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry to go off on a tangent here, but Faker's shockwave will find them all is like 75% wolf. That guy gets them all with a quickness.
It's literally like a Kennen 5-man ult onto like the entire team of G2. It's gonna be like that tier. I don't remember the player that does it, but it's going to be Jenkins. He'll be like the
player that gets the big Smeb has the big Kennen ult.
Yeah. Smeb.
Come on, my boy.
My goat.
As they
Not my goat, because I didn't remember that it was him.
They do find Jenkins here. They are calling on in the reinforcements.
Oh,
the unstoppable force misses. Nobody sees that. Geiger walks away with the kill. Let's just pretend he got it.
Yep, Geiger got it. No difficulties, no qualms. It was a clean, perfectly executed kill. Apex get another pick on the other side. Season of Leaves does go down, and Shogo gonna continue chipping away at this turret. Now Surefire's got a flank.
Another fight breaking on out. They're diving forward. They will be able to get their way onto Kelpo. Xiaodani going to return fire onto Daption, and through the exhaust, he will get that kill with his ultimate. So all in all, it's 2 dead apiece on the map, but Geiger is not here to defend mid, and Xiaodani and Shogo are looking plenty healthy. They will be able to push out the lower ranged mixture and Surefiire.
Is Geiger dead? I think Geiger might be dead. He at the very least has to commit a flash here. Dun-na.
Oh, that's the worst of all worlds, dude. Oh no.
Flash burn kill still goes over to Jenkins. Proto belt diff in the chat to cover the distance, and turret denied from Contingent on that bot side too. I mean, Apex got mid-tier 1 on top of having the Herald, so that almost certainly means they'll be able to get another tower. Xiaodani, though, with Kelpo here, I don't know if the one shot is possible for the Lux, so Season of Leaves is going to back away. Oh, Daption.
Now they are diving forward. They get themselves onto Shogo. He will be able to make it a 1-for-1 trade with Daption, and Surefiire will continue to pluck away at the health bar of this Vi. That will even up the kill score once again. 3.5K lead still in the favor of Apex. Got Dragon number 3 coming up in about 90 seconds. Contingent definitely want to keep swinging some of these fights in their favor if they want to be able to stop a stack.
Xiaodani's going to be forced out of the bush that he was recalling in. With the Spirit Rush up, it makes it really difficult for you to actually pick off this Ahri, given that you have to be in very close proximity to get that guaranteed stun off as the Pantheon. So Xiaodani's actually maybe looking for a solo bolo here, but he has to be very careful. If you die here, it's really bad. There is a dragon up in 50 seconds, and both teams probably want to vie for pressure around that neutral. You can see on the bot side, Apex are first to do that, but Contingent still have some vision. I'm looking at that ward crucially behind the pit. That gives a lot of information over to Contingent, and until that is clear, they at least have something to latch onto going into this pit and going into this river.
Able to get themselves out for the time being. Now, this next dragon is the name of the game. It feels like the game could turn on this. If Apex are able to find a favorable team fight, slam it, get onto Soul Point, yeah, feels like it'll be so difficult to stop their snowball.
All right, we saw Surefiire got the Black Cleaver. This is what we talked about for the front line of Apex. They don't have a lot of tanks on their team, so being first to the objective with all of your pick tools is the most important thing in the game, and both teams really don't have a firm grasp of the bot side river just yet. Contingent, it feels like, are the ones with just a little bit more pressure, and that is not a position Apex want to find themselves in without a frontliner on their team.
This should be well set up to poke, but they've lost control of mid.
Yeah,
and
they're
now
not
with
going
the
for it.
Rift
I
Herald
like
being
this.
thrown down, it looks like they're just going to seed the Dragon and see how much turret damage they can do. They will be able to get this inner. Will they even be able to pressure onto the inhibitor turret? Contingent forced into a tough decision here. They're going to try to retreat with that Rift Herald. Tempered Fate from Mixture connects onto Shogo. They're going to send everything at him. The Unstoppable Force connects, but it's so far ahead of the rest of the team. He's on a sliver of
He's
HP
alive!
off the back of the Eve from Season, and finally he'll be finished off by Schernfire. Big ultimate from Jenkins, but no follow-up available means he's going to fall down as well. TP back in from Xiao Danny. Has to use the Spirit Rush to get himself out of dodge almost immediately, but Schernfire's all over him. Will be able to force a Vash backwards. It's a 2 for 2 so far, but the health bars feel pretty good for Contingent. They want to get onto this Dragon, but the Rift Herald, Mike Young took it top. He's working on the inner turret, and now he's going to crash it into the inhibitor turret.
I don't even know if they could get the inhib. Is it worth it to get the inhib as Laser goes down?
Double Laser from Season stops the recall from Xiao Danny, gets the kill onto Kelpo, and Geiger able to get back to pick up this wave top. It cost them 3 plates from the top inhibitor turret. This is about as well as you could hope for things to go for Contingent, though.
But it's still more gold into the Vi. This does close that gap a little bit between the junglers. You can see that Schernfire is 2 levels up over Mike Young at this point. Has had a really good bounce back from a rougher early game, despite the cross map in game number 2, and not being able to find a lot of success on the bot side with those picks on the Grand Starfall. He is still ahead of his counterpart, still making waves in these team fights, and that team fight just felt really split from Apex. They didn't look like they wanted to go all in, but Contingent forced their hand when they were split and got some picks for themselves, got the Dragon, and denied the soul point.
Contingent, again, so much of this rides on Seasonal Leaves, on his Lux. I think has been such a crucial piece in this game so far. Full engage onto Shogo. Laser comes on across, and he's got no game to play. Jenkins TPing in with a big slicing Maelstrom, though. Will cut right through Geiger and Mixture. Daption next up. It's a triple kill to Xiao Danny. He's got more dashes to spare, but will be held down by the light binding. And it will end up being a 1 for 3 Contingent. Overforce underneath 2 turrets to get onto Shogo.
Yeah, they throw the entire kitchen sink at the AD carry of Apex, but they have nothing left in the tank when it comes to the rest of the members, who then close on Contingent like sharks, Gordo.
Like land sharks, you might say?
Yeah, like land sharks.
Yeah.
Little bit of an Ole Miss reference there for those of you who missed it.
If you know, you know. Laser again. Season just keeps connecting these, and Mixture's here to bail him out. You got to watch out for the punch coming in from Mike Young, but there's the man drop from Schernfire, able to get the shutdown. Kelpo drops as well, and just as soon as Contingent give up 3 over forcing, Apex send it right back home.
That could be Baron. I mean, Schernfire is full HP. Jenkins is up, but he's trying to contest onto Mixture. He's got to be careful where he steps, though. This Kennen could be the difference maker between a Baron and a being secured by Contingent.
He's got slicing Maelstrom. Mixture has got to keep his distance.
Oh, no.
He doesn't connect it. Geiger's in there with another unstoppable force. Shogo can't play the game. It's an ace to Contingent, and they're going to be able to pick up Baron.
Contingent overstay their hand. They get on the map too long. Contingent respawn, and they immediately punish them. Baron going to be their target now. And Mike Young is up, but he is going to be far too late to contest this, Gordo. Contingent finally with a lifeline back into this game. You focus down Shogo. Apex overstay. And that is all they need to get the big purple worm in their clutches. And for the next few minutes, we're going to have to see what they do with this, because next Dragon is up in about 2 minutes. If Apex can get this, that swings their Dragon stacking win condition right back into their hands. You've got to get Prio on this mid and bot and make it hard for them to enter this river. That is the key, like we said in the draft, to winning this game with the amount of pick tools and lack of frontline both comps have.
Yeah, and how does that play? How does that sequence start? The same way every positive sequence for Contingent has happened and continues to happen. It's Season of Leaves on the Lux, making the picks happen. That one was a little bit more Mixture, but we'll give them split credit. And now Xiao Danny getting chased down by much the same combo. Over the wall comes Mike Young. Cannot connect the Vault Breaker. Mixture gets taken low by an ace in the hole. He'll be able to retreat. And with this Baron buff, Contingent are just ripping through these turrets. Season of Leaves firing out final sparks at will. 8-1-5 on his signature Lux. Nothing can stop this guy.
And it's crazy to me that this guy is the carry on the team. We talk about the Contingent Esports squad. 4 members of this team are going to be in the promotion tournament, as now Bob Jenkins is in trouble.
Outnumbered and outgunned as Schernfire is everywhere on the map with that Grand Starfall. Contingent claim the life of the Fed Cannon once again. He is now 5-5-3. I think that's 4 deaths in a row for Jenkins.
He's no longer a Fed Cannon. He really isn't, and I just feel like the turnaround that we saw, we expected Jenkins to be Zeus, and this guy is like a Pichu.
Good one.
He's like a level 1 Pichu.
That's a good comparison. There's not.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what a small Zeus would be, but you know what? You got that. I'm giving you that one.
All right, I appreciate it. I was like, Pikachu. Yeah. I wanted to say Pikachu, but then I was like, oh.
Another one? Are you kidding me? When can we tell jokes? When will we get a break, Season?
This is no laughing matter. Season of Leaves is 1v9. He got the Lux. It was banned in game number 1. You know, you were talking about us seeing the reason why Jenkins' Kennen is permabanned against him. We're seeing the reason why Season of Leaves' Lux is banned against him. And unfortunately, light beats out lightning in this game.
It's not just Jenkins on his best champion either. I mean, Xiao Danny might beg to differ. Maybe he's got something else he's rocking with these days. But historically, I would say his Ahri is his best champion as well. But Season of Leaves, in a game where multiple players are on their best champions, it is Season of Leaves that is shining the brightest. 2,000 gold lead to Contingent now. 2 dragons in a row. Their Baron has fallen off, but that Baron power play was probably close to 5,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Like quick maths.
And it's crazy to me that Season of Leaves is the guy putting the team on his back. Like I said, this is a squad with 4 members in the promotion tournament. And we were talking about if Season of Leaves can keep up with these guys, what will that spell for the future of his career when he inevitably, you know, gets to the age where he's actually able to participate in OQs, where he's able to participate in future promotion tournaments. He's not just keeping up with his teammates, Gordo. He is carrying them. That is crazy.
Really impressive split. Not his first ACL, but by far his best ACL. And now looking to be able to tie it up at 1-1 in the grand finals here, coming in from the upper bracket. Really strong Lux performance here to not start off the night, but I guess to follow off a rough start to the night. And you know what? We were getting a little upset at the FF, feeling like mentals might not all be there. But this team has rocketed right back into the competition.
For sure. Contingent now with a gold lead. 2 dragons apiece. It feels like that win condition is starting to become more of a novelty the further down in this game we go. I mean, we're going to have to wait 8 minutes for that, and it feels like at a moment's notice, Contingent or Apex, they could get an ace and just barrel down. We're starting to coast 30 minutes into this game, so death timers are really starting to get up there. You get a pick, you get a kill, and turrets are falling, inhibitors are falling. The game could be decided by one of these team fights in the next few minutes, so I don't think Drake is going to be a win condition. And honestly, thank God for Apex. The last few team fights have just not gone their way, so any excuse to not group up feels like a good one.
Does definitely feel like it is truly in the hands of Contingent as long as they maintain their control around the map, as long as they don't make any silly mistakes. They've outscaled the really strong early game Caitlyn pressure. Yes, she can be a big scaling threat as well, but their poke composition is just so strong, and as long as they maintain control, as long as they can keep landing these singularities, keep cutting off these access points, keep using vision to threaten engages from Geiger, it's so tough for Apex to play. It
really is. And I mean, I feel like Shogo just has really no away around these team fights. You've got to be able to dodge out on the ultimate from Geiger. And then there is a bunch of lockdown from the rest of the members on Contingent as Surefire's going in.
Driving forward on towards Jenkins. He does drop the slicing Maelstrom, but he's not getting any damage done. Surefire blocks it with the shield. Nobody else is inside the circle. And Contingent are 5v4 on the map, making a march towards Baron.
Jenkins just trying to find the damage, but it is not there anymore. Magic resistance is coming through from a plethora of members on the side of Contingent. Baron going to be started up here, and rather than fight it head on, you can see the teleport is coming through from Xiao Danny. He's just going to push onto the bot side of the map. Apex want to set up around this dragon and try and fight them on that front. But again, this feels so difficult now that we've got some tank items under Geiger's belt and they actually have a front line. They can walk in here and your pick tools don't mean as much anymore.
Not as much by any means. They will be pulled out of their slots on the map, needing to defend up against this Baron, trying to get these recalls through. Mixture going to find a couple of members trying to channel that recall here. TP coming through. This is Season, if I'm not mistaken, and it is.
Yep.
He arrives to the bottom side, but everybody from Apex has been able to back away.
Right. Has a verdant barrier, so is plenty safe as well as this Lux. We can see Vi is also now found by Geiger. So Apex are split here. They've got to group up, but again, against a Malphite, grouping up is extremely dangerous. Dragon's going to be spawned, and even though Apex were first to the bot side river, Gordo, they are not going to maintain that control at all.
Dragon now going to get started on up. They will work their way through it in no time flat. There's no ability to contest here from Apex. Up 3 dragons in a row now. Contingent get another ocean to their name, and stacking these same name dragons always super good compared to getting the little one-off
for the
ones.
eyes too. You know, it makes it less confusing, right? We can just say the bonuses that they grant are just stacking for the team. There's no different stats that are being stacked on top of each other. Is teleport coming through here from Geiger to try and find Mike Young. He's got the speed up on the
man drop as well. Surefire's here. They're just going for the full collapse. They're going to do everything in their power to get out of Mike Young. He can't get over the wall with the Vault Breaker. Did not find the thinnest point. Slams his face and his fist into the wall and then into the ground as Contingent go up a member. 5v4 for this push.
All right, we can see now sieging onto the bot side turrets. Jenkins is in top lane as well, so maybe there is a world where, okay, I thought Kelpo was definitely dead there. Surefier is over the wall.
Yeah, critical flash from Kelpo to stay alive, but it is a flash nonetheless, and he is on just a sliver. Cost him his summoner heal as well. Meanwhile, the top inhibitor turret going to fall down. 15 seconds left on Mike. They will be able to get the inhibitor. Contingent going to make the call to continue to push in deeper. 9 seconds on Mike. He will have the cease and desist once he gets on up. Daption is up the furthest. 3 seconds on Mike now. Going to arrive shortly. Shogo comes back out of the base, starts pinging away at Daption with those home guards. Flash in from Danny. Cannot connect the charm. And Contingent Esports are out of there.
It was a good attempt there by Danny, as now we see Season of Leaves firing artillery over the wall, and it will connect.
I mean, this is just a free kill combo. Jenkins flashing in, full send from Apex, a last gasp to try to hold out of the game. They can't get Season of Leaves. The healing, the shielding is all too much. Every piece that they had to collapse the gap was used to get over that wall and focus damage onto this mid laner, and they can't get it done. Ace to Contingent Esports as they look to push for the win.
And a dominant late game from them as well. Geiger with the wraparound build going full AP, but then indexing into tank. Contingent with the better 5v5, and Apex fall flat. The FF from game number 1 was not an indication of their mentals. It was a reset. Contingent are online, and we've got a series on our hands, Gordo.
Best of 3 from here on out. Geiger gets one more out of the system. Before we move on, that's a Kelpo solo kill, by the way. Put it on the board.
Kelpo got a kill.
Contingent find themselves a poke composition with a hard engage angle to it and use both attributes to their fullest. One shot after one shot after one shot. That's 2 late playoffs Lux games that we've had on stream from Seasonal Leaves, and they are about the 2 best Lux games that I've ever seen in ACL.
This man is an absolute beast. I mean, look at that. I am so glad we have post-game stuff back here, Gordo. We've been
Welcome
missing
back.
it for like
I think this means we have full stats
season.
back too. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, we're so blessed here on Aegis, but 30,000 damage to the Lux, and then the gold graph just tells a story. A dominant early and mid game from the likes of Team Apex, but then the late game off of just constant final sparks and constant picks from Geiger on this Malphite. The solo laners lead them to victory, and much needed as well. After game 1, we were a little bit worried on the mental states of the team from that FF, but I feel like those worries have been completely dissuaged, and with the 1-1 now, both of these teams, we've seen them at their best. It's just a matter of who is going to come out on top. And I think the players have all shown up in the wins that we saw from Team Apex. I think we saw the best from all the players individually. And then from Contingent, I felt like we really got to see what everyone on their squad was capable of at their best and when they were given the resources. So now with that in mind, Gordo, I feel like going into game number 3, really what I'm looking at is this top lane matchup where it swings, because it feels like Geiger has been getting beaten down in the laning phase, but has been having superior pressure outside of that, which has really been the big story of this series thus far, even though we're only 2 games in.
I completely agree with you there. What a strong game from Contingent, just to reset after a really rough game number 1 for them. I think for momentum wise, this is huge, right? It's so difficult to lose a game like that first one and then go down 0-2 after that and feel like you have a chance, right? It's just such a difficult position to be in mentally. And the fact that they're able to pull out this game, especially after a tough early game, this game as well, just completely inverts that, makes you feel way, way better. And now this is basically ground zero now. It's square one, 0-0, best of 3 from this point onward.
And I'd have it no other way. I mean, I was a little bit worried that we would have like a stomp in our last series of the split, Gordo. And those are never fun. Those are never a good time. So it being competitive is everything that I wanted and more. And I mean, I'm just looking forward to the future games, whether it be 1 more game or rather 2 more games or 3 more games.
Yeah, I'm excited for it as well. Definitely in for plenty more League of Legends action tonight. That is for certain. Now that we're actually here and not constantly, pinging in and out of the Twitch stream, we do have to give a shout out to our friends over at ZenMarket, your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items safely into one box that can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why ZenMarket is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check out the panel below stream or click the link in chat to try them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, you'll get 3,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Thank you to ZenMarket for sponsoring Aegis and the ACL. And we will see everybody for game number 3 after a quick break.
ZenMarket は迅速な発送ですぐにお届けします。ボックスヘッド？
大丈夫？
でも直接来てくれたの？これって
漫画みたいだったね。
しかも今衣装着てるし、花でもあれば完璧なのに。
完璧だよ。壊れ物だから自分で届けたかったんだ。
あなたって完璧。ありがとう、ゼンマーケット。
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL, where we are tied up at 1-1 between Contingent, Esports, and Team Apex, looking to see if we can go the full 5 games. I'm Gordo, this is Quacks. What are you thinking about after 2 games?
I'm thinking we might actually be going to 5 games, which is bad for me because I have a series immediately after this. So my voice is going to be raising hell for sure, with 2 back-to-back best of 5s to deal with. But beyond that, I mean, the gameplay that we have seen from games 1 and 2, Gordo, has been nothing short of very entertaining. I feel like game 1, we got to see the best of Team Apex, and then game number 2, we got to see the best of Contingent. And really the big thing, the big theme for me across what I feel is a very competitive best of 5 so far is the late game. I think whichever team is able to get control or wrestle control of the, post 20 minutes and really get those win conditions to get to that point is the team that ends up coming out on top. Because as we saw in game number 2, even though Jenkins was getting multiple solo kills and was, touted to be bringing down the lightning literally and metaphorically on the side of Team Apex, it just didn't come to, or rather Team Contingent, it just didn't come to fruition. And I feel like it really is going to be the big thing of post 20 minutes, both teams have to be looking their best and have to make sure that their win conditions and their carries are in a place where they can actually get beyond that point and really make use of themselves in the team fights, because that Kennen wasn't really able to have the same impact that he had in lane once the 5v5 started to roll around.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, right? First of all, I've been where you're at, Quacks, and I had to go right into AL 3-0ing Nirvana teams. So it could be worse. It could be worse, all right?
It could be. It could be.
I'm hoping for
we're in the struggle together, right?
Yeah. Also, I just cast my vote, and I voted for BLG to 3-0 in Nirvana teams. So I may also be... you may be ruining my experience.
All right, if you're not a WE believer in the chat, just get out of here. All right, we don't want your pessimism.
I am the captain of the Knight is the best player in the world ship right now, so
he is, unfortunately, for all of you LCK fans. But anyway, back to the ACL, where the actual best players in the world are. We do see the Senna Orianna bans still maintaining their importance on the side of Contingent. I wonder if we're going to be seeing that last ban flexed around at all. Apex banned, I believe, Ashe last game to try and deny the Ashe Seraphine combination, so I do think there is still merit to doing that just because of how strong a duo it is. And also, the further we get into Fearless, Gordo, the more difficult it is going to be to find those strong 2v2s. So I think really focusing down on those as the best of 5 progresses and as we get later into the drafts is actually really important, and also means we'll probably be seeing more priority on it in the first 3 picks. We have already seen both teams really wanting to get the bot lane duos out of the way immediately in games 1 and 2 so far, though.
Yeah, so the Ashe going to be the one band that Apex dangles out there. First pick going to be Shogo's Kalista as they look for another aggressive blind bottom lane.
This is something that that Lotus have really employed when they were running through the OQs. We know that Shogo really likes this champion. Curious what it's going to be paired up with, though, because Nautilus is usually the champion you associate with Kalista at the current moment. That, though, is Fearless out, so there is a world where we see the Renata, but I think going Renata this early on could be a little bit preemptive, although Contingent have already shown their hand and already have given an auto attacker over to Apex, so the ult does have at least a little bit of value with the Yunara, even if she is like the only AD threat that Contingent were to put in this draft, which I think is pretty doubtful.
So Yunara, no Lulu to pair with it after that previous draft in game number 1, so going to have to go with a different support. Of course, Mixture has plenty to his name, and there is the Nico. Not the big staple that it was back in split number 1, but still a very powerful engage tool. And I think really strong against a short range AD like the Kalista.
It is, and this is a pretty short-ranged bot lane, so I think maybe Leona has a lot of priority. You could also go the Alistar. The Soraka, though, is a bit of a curveball, so anticipating that Contingent are probably going to be playing a more engage heavy composition centered around this Nico. So in that regard, Soraka has a lot of value, just being able to heal up your backline and provide those silences, which I feel like is such an underrated part of her kit. That silence, we saw it yesterday in the HLE versus, or rather in the G2 series, I believe against MKOI a little bit ago, where the silence from Labrov literally won them the game. So we know that this champion has value, and then the Gnar to go along with it, I think also just provides that disengage and that room for Shogo to dance around these team fights.
We saw it 3 days ago on this stream against Team Apex as a...
Ooh.
Oh, excuse me. As a, among other things, counter pick to the Zed jungle. Because if knowers know, Equinox on top of a target getting death marked is obnoxious. So
it is.
It is also a for those less familiar with Kelpo, it is a signature pick of his. This is his big kind of solo queue.
He loves enchanters.
Pick, yeah, and the Soraka in particular is his favorite. So definitely a big pick for Kelpo here, getting some comfort on still some of his first ACL games here, I believe. Unfortunately, we don't have stat tracking for the like seeding matches post regular season, so I don't know if Kelpo played in those or not. But at least for the playoffs run, he has only been in one series before this one. It was the prior, so. Little new to the ACL, definitely new to the ACL stream. Frankly, new to most viewers, other than a couple of games on Near Airport. So, still excited to see what else this player can offer us. Yorick locked in for Geiger.
And Kelpo is absolutely stamping his name here in the ACL with what I feel like has been 2 games of him performing really admirably thus far. Yorick, like you said, though, going to be the lock-in here for top lane. A decent matchup into the Gnar. Once you get those steel caps, it just gives you so much survivability. So I would imagine Geiger is going to rush those, but we have seen Geiger go for, in these past couple of games, some interesting build routes. So maybe he doesn't go immediately for the steel caps. We'll have to wait and see kind of how that shakes out, but really it's just about minimizing the amount of impact Gnar can have in that range for him, and then once he goes into melee, that's kind of your window to punish as this champion. So we do see a lot of bans focused toward the mid lane, the Syndra and the Victor going to be thrown at Xiao Danny, and Anivia going to be the option here for Season of Leaves now. Not the poke mage that we were expecting. The Hui was still up, and it looks like Xiao Danny wants to fearless that one away ASAP, so he is going to lock it in, and it's just a poke battle between these mid laners. But once level 6 is unlocked here for Anivia, I mean, she is the queen at being able to give you priority, so I think that Contingent are probably the better for giving an aggressive jungler over to Surenfire. This is their bread and butter when it comes to early game, and something that I feel like we've seen a stark lack of so far in this best of 5.
Yeah, the Anivia, not the most traditional of Seasonal Leaves champions, has brought it out previously in this playoffs run, played against Team Samsara, found a win there. Yeah, and the Xin Zhao comes on through for Mike Young. He, you know, he's lost his Lee Sin here now, so he is back on some more traditional meta selections. And the Jax to round things out is going to be in the jungle for Surenfire. A little bit more of the hard farming, scaling jungle style that I think really defined Contingent earlier in the season before they made this playoffs run.
Scales really well, and I think that is true for basically all the members of Contingent. They definitely have that advantage going into this game, but Apex, I feel, just are a lot more capable of being proactive early. If Shogo is able to get an early lead as this Kalista, I feel like he'll really be able to run away with it with just how much space and how much kiting and how much disengage the rest of Team Apex have to be able to give room over to Shogo in the late game. So something to be aware of. Could maybe be at the point of contention early on in this game, and I think both junglers understand it, hence why we're seeing them once again both start toward this top side. I don't think we have seen them go bot side once this series, except for when Surenfire opted to look for that invade on the Pantheon in game 2.
I mean, look, I don't want to count Shogo out ever, but this feels like an entire comp that has been drafted to hose this first pick Kalista, right? I think it's so hard to play against the Nico. It's so hard to play against the Anivia. It's so hard to play against the Jax. I think there's just a lot of tools set up to prevent him from having success. that it almost falls to the other members to be able to capitalize on what opportunities are available to them, as Mixture going to get kind of forced off of the lane, put into an awkward position here while posing his Season of Leaves.
Okay, it really makes me mad, by the way, that it says Season of Leaves when Nico actually transforms into the Anivia. That's
why do you gotta fool us?
I'm gonna fall for that at least once this game. Like, and maybe you are too.
I've fallen for it before. I got fooled last stream into thinking the Nico clone was the real Nico, and that says clone above it. So I'm definitely liable to get tricked by a Nico, even on spectate mode.
Both flashes burned from the Contingent bot side. Shogo also burning his, so just heightens the importance of the junglers needing to get back toward that bot lane ASAP. And in that regard, Surenfire is ahead of the game a little bit, being about half a camp up in tempo over the Xin Zhao, but Geiger is in trouble.
He is close to being taken out, does have that healing back from his Q, and caught a mini Gnar inside the Dark Procession, so really wanted to be able to get a little bit of extra damage there, but still dicey territory for this Yorick. It's a big wave crashing into the bottom side. They will successfully crash it.
So it looks like Mike Young doesn't have Prio in bot lane to be able to contest this crab, so he'll probably be relegated to going up toward that top side. Maybe opens up an opportunity for him to punish Geiger if this Yorick can't get a reset off in the next 45 seconds or so. I'm actually surprised he's not going for a reset, given that he has teleport, wanting to just hold on to that summoner spell and maybe bait Jenkins into a fight. He is going to go mega soon, and like I said, with this matchup, that is kind of your window as the Yorick to punish this Gnar.
The last rights are also just really powerful healing tools. He's flashing and will trade flashes with Jenkins. I think he's going to call that a win.
Oh, he absolutely is. In a range versus melee matchup, I think Jenkins is going to be able to punish him a good amount, though. So we'll have to see how that ends up going. Surenfire actually crossed over mid, so he's going to be able to double crab again. A lot of resources going over to this Jax already. And once he gets level 6, it's going to be very, very difficult to actually run him.
Crazy that Mike Young knew that he was there. I guess he must have been on vision from that bush in the ping brush. So Surenfire going to be forced to flash away, going to get chased down by Mike Young. And first blood will go the way of Apex.
Good punish there from Mike Young, and right where you want the gold to be for the early game of Apex. One of your win conditions here in the first few minutes of the game, getting that gold, and now having a tempo advantage on top of that. So, you know, getting that double crab, the impact of it going to be lessened because now the Xin Zhao has kill gold and is going to be onto his respawns that much quicker, can make his way toward the bot lane matchup that much faster, and Surenfire going to have to haul ass to try and keep up with Xin Zhao now.
A big Phaelite moment there in the top lane where it must be that ward on the Phaelite from Jenkins that gave the vision to Mike to know that Surenfire was there and hit him with the Wind Becomes Lightning. Tough moment for Surenfire. Did still get the double crab, so he's still up on farm, but will not have a gold advantage. Geiger is starting to really win out on this lane now post that earlier exchange of flashes. And they still haven't recalled, by the way. He's just regained that much health back with last rights.
Yeah, that and then the Doran's Helm is also keeping him alive. This has been a, I feel like I have not seen a Doran shield in a long time, ever since the introduction of this item, Gordo. Have you kind of felt the same way? Doran is selling a lot of helms right now. The T1 top laner is, you know, it's business. This man is really raising the stocks of this item.
Yeah, I mean, as a mid laner, if I ever feel compelled to take a defensive Doran's item, it is still mostly the shield. I do think the shield is still better in the early game. Yeah. But definitely the helm is the better scaling option. So I think most folks are willing to just index on, I'm going to play safe in the early game, and I don't need that shield. I'm going to take those bonus stats. I'm going to be stronger at 1 item, 2 items, 3 items in exchange for being weaker at 0 items.
We saw the extra bit of prio, or tempo rather, for Mike Young. He's going to use that to secure the dragon, so Apex off to a early objective lead. And I think off of this Krug take for the Xin Zhao, he should also get level 6. So Crescent Guard going to be unlocked for him there. We can see he dinged over. So now the question is, what is he going to do with it? He's going to immediately haul his way toward the bot lane.
Young making his appearance
No
here.
flash on
before too
Daption.
long. Daption, yeah, cannot get out of this one. Does have the barrier, is going to use it to try to stay alive as long as he can, but cannot survive against the Crescent Guard. Mike Young up 2-0. And Surenfire, with no cross-map opportunity, was in fact at his heels, but gets there too late to try to turn anything around.
Yeah, has to go right back to the river and go for a reset. Mike Young doing a great job at being able to punish these overextensions from Contingent early on in this game. Still no kill gold being given over to Kalista, so that does worry me for later on in this game, but at the very least it gives you more breathing room as the AD carry to side lane. If Mike Young is making cross map plays and you're just alone in bot farming up a storm, it allows you to scale a little bit more while the rest of Apex just kind of make the proactive decisions, and then your time will eventually come, is my point.
Season of Leaves putting a lot of pressure on his Xiao Danny there.
From
the bailout from Kelpo might mean that he's got nowhere left to go. He already did use the wall, and now at risk of getting sent into the egg, but will successfully keep himself up. And now that he's under the turret, I don't think he could get scrambled, even if he did get sent into the egg.
He does have passive, so he will be fine no matter what, but still really good roam there from Kelpo. It looked like a dicey situation for Xiao Danny, but gets bailed out by the Soraka heal and allows him to, at the very least, equalize the lane states right now. He should reset just low on that mana. Shogo's going for the 1v1.
Oh, Daption and Shogo exchanging blows. Daption tries to flash away. Shogo's after him, yanks the spears, and claims the solo bolo.
We see a solo kill there from Shogo. He's going to be able to get some time alone on the bot side, but look at the top side now. Mike Young is in the fray.
Yeah, Surenfire and Geiger both in there.
Big shot
from Jenkins, going to connect onto two. They're trying to focus down Mike Young. First one to drop is going to be Daption, and Mike Young able to flash away in time to avoid going down to Surenfire. He will be able to get onto Jenkins even post-flash.
Xiao Danny is split.
Now Xiao Danny cut away from the rest of the play. Surenfire trying to fight him. It's the heals from Kelpo. They trade 1 for 1, auto for auto, blow for blow at the same moment. 2 for 2, top laner for top laner, jungler for jungler.
Yeah, but one grub went over to Contingent, so they slightly went out in that play. Off the redeploy, I wonder if the junglers are just going to return right back to where that top side. Kelpo's got to be careful. Gets clipped by the stun, but won't be taken down. Mid laners vying for control of the mid lane. In case the junglers want to go right back toward those grubs, they need that priority to do so. Xiao Danny, what was that flash?
Yeah, bad flash, gets walled back in, sends Season into the egg, but Mixture is here. Flash forward, tangle barbs, and there's the kill. Back to Contingent. Season of Leaves secures a kill back.
Light mechanical misplay there from Xiao Danny, gets punished. Mixture there to pick up the kill. Mike Young is on the top side, so he will get the 2 grubs remaining, but we can see Surenfire on the other end of the map could look to try and make a play alongside Mixture. Pop Blossom is now available for the Nico, and this is the lockdown required to make these picks.
Down on towards Kelpo. The silence going to buy him a couple of seconds, but the bonk will come through regardless. Daption getting chased down by Shogo, survives with a sliver from the Rend. And that is all he needs. He can take the recall here. He can call over support from the team to make sure that the turret's going to be safe.
Shogo can't really push up any further. He doesn't have his team to back him up, so Kalista going to be limited in their movement for now, but it looks like resets will just come through from Surenfire and Mixture. They will take their foot off the gas temporarily, but I want to pay attention to how much vision they have laid on that side of the map, Gordo. Ahead of Dragon in about 30 seconds, they've got eyes everywhere. This is beautiful setup on the redeploy and just opens the door for them to easily take this Dragon whenever they want to.
Does. Only about 500 gold separating these teams, so not a significant gold lead for Apex at this stage. And I mean, Season still very early in his scaling, but I think has had a really strong laning phase against Xiao Danny here. Even setting aside that little mishap with the flash, we've seen a lot of really strong trades coming through from him. Will take a rough burst here, though, taking to about half as Apex looks to start up Dragon number 2.
Surefire actually has no interest in going toward those that Dragon rather. He's gonna just take the last grub. Okay, so hang on. Let me picture the timeline here. So Apex get 1 grub, and then Contingent get 1 grub on the initial play, and then Apex go back toward the top side, only take 1 grub for themselves, and then Contingent go back toward the grubs and take the second one. So we just took all of them individually. One at a time, without taking... Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen that in my life, in my history of casting League of Legends. Is that like a thing? Tower dives is now. A thing.
I trying to think back to... Remember when there were 6 grubs?
I don't want to.
We've seen them taken in 3 different chunks back then.
All right, Daption.
Daption's in a 1 versus 3, although it does get away. Here comes the big knockup from Mixture. Daption's still alive, trying to kite it out. They will stun Mike Young underneath the turret. It's a 1-for-1, and Kelpo in a lot of trouble. Will get Fates called out to safety by Shogo. And it is a 1-for-1 with 4 members being sent bot lane for each side.
A lot of resources spent to make that play happen, but Xiao Danny is up toward the mid lane, so he's going to at least be able to get that push out. Both mid laners will not get the kills, but they will at the very least get some plate gold. So more of these late game threats is turning online as Surenfire just bonks him over the head. Now Shogo's got nowhere to go.
Yeah, gets a nice stun. Season of Leaves connects the Flash Frost onto the Dancing Callista. Quick 2 for 0 in the bottom side for Contingent with waves crashing. This is a great movement for Contingent. It's going to give them a lot of money right back.
And they're able to do that because Xiao Danny shows in mid. They know the threat of the Hui trying to mess up this attempted dive is not something they have to worry about. So they just proceed forward, look for the plays. Kelpo gets picked off, a bonk over the head is all that it takes. And then Shogo didn't have flash. That is coming off of cooldown now. So once he gets back to what looks like mid lane, as the lane assignments are going to be jumbled up here now that we're coasting toward the mid game here, 13 minutes in. So the extra survivability will be there for the Callista as Kelpo is way too far up.
Yeah, this is 3 members on top of him. Nice wall from Season, going to keep him on the wrong side of the lane. And a nice and easy kill picked up for Contingent once again. They're going to take the gold lead off that one. And this is a really similar story to game number 2 in that Apex were able to win out the fights earlier on. They were able to get advantages through the jungle. They were able to find themselves that early gold lead. They were able to get the first 2 dragons, but then Contingent started to take control, started to win fights, started to group up better and in better positions and start to take control over the game. And here they go, trying to pressure deeper into Mike Young's jungle. Surenfire winning out this one-on-one. This is what he drafted the Jacks to be able to do. Kelpo coming on in. Pop Blossom going to connect. They're just going to switch targets right back over to the Soraka. Shogo coming in from the top side. Surenfire outnumbered and outgunned. Jenkins finds a solo kill top side. Wish turning that fight around. Mixture will drop as well. And just like that, a quick 3-0 for Apex puts my foot right into my mouth and gets them in the lead.
It absolutely does. That would have been right there with you, but unfortunately the fighting just doesn't stop in this series. Kelpo yet again denying an aggressive play from Contingent. The heals are too much. The wish is too much. And Apex gets some much needed gold into their coffers. Shogo
making a move on the Season.
Though, yeah, he is. All right. Teleport coming in. And Season might be able to get this turret. I think he's going to go for it, but I think he understands that he is in fact dead.
TP quest nerfs means that the shield is dropped off. No! Oh! Season of Leaves! Fails the flash, avert your eyes! He's going down.
And scrambled.
Scrambled indeed. Oh, Shogo's
scrambled too. Huh.
Yeah, all right. Scrambled right back. Scramble for scramble. Now I'm scrambling as they're tied up. 29K to 29K.
Yep. It's definitely not an over easy game for either of these teams so far if we're just going to keep on with the egg puns. Anyway, Herald has been started up here by Surenfire. Season of Leaves getting that turret probably turns the cross map slightly in Contingent's favor regardless. And then them being able to get this neutral, I think is just going to make it even more so a Contingent favored trade. Jenkins now on this bot side trying to get some plates, but a good response TP from Geiger. That Herald is going to be really important ahead of this dragon. You can see that both mid lane turrets are up. So Surenfire can basically just throw this in mid, call attention from Apex, and then they can get river control through there. Really good macro yet again from this squad led by the jungler. And again, have to keep harkening back to these guys being the veterans of the team, really doing a good job at directing them. But it feels like the direction specialty is coming from 2 different sources of the game, Gordo. We have seen a lot of crazy early game shenanigans being prepared by Mike Young, but then the mid to late game, it's all Surenfire. This man is so good at map rotations once the lane assignments get a little bit more jumbled.
He's also just getting so strong. 6 kills in on Jax. Like, if this was top lane Jax, we would be talking about how the whole game is going to be warped by him. And he has 2 items all the same. So now heralding flank around on the bottom side. Really good positioning for him. They need to get Daption back over here onto the play, but he should have no problem shouting. He's going to be forced to flash. Pop Blossom goes short.
Fire's in there.
Sternfire trying to get onto Shogo. Flash forward. Daption looking to pump the damage into him. Shogo going to flash back over the wall. Battle Herald coming through. Daption's already down. Season of Leaves falls as well. They finally managed to take out Xiao Danny, but have they lost 2 members at this point? It's going to be Coach getting on boards and finding the double kill. Moving forward on a Mike Young, who is still staying alive. So much healing. Geiger will finally be able to take him out. It's Shogo running amok in the team fight. A quadra kill to Geiger, but Shogo flashing over the wall will be able to turn it back around for the side of Apex. 4 for 4. Dragon soon to be cashed out by this Kalista unless he misses the rend. Mixture's got to be connects the Tangle Part. Looking to take out Shogo one-on-one. Mixture finishes him off. Support versus AD carry. Mixture makes the miracle happen and secures the Dragon for Contingent.
Dragon is third partying. They're on the side of Contingent. Mountain Dragon loves Contingent confirmed. It secures the last hit on to Shogo. That was the craziest team fight of this series, Gordo.
And I botched it. I botched it all. No, but what a play by Contingent. I can't believe that Mixture was able to connect that. Shogo cheating his way up to the bush to see if he can pop Mixture for the full ace, is smacked right back down by those Tangle Barbs. The Dragon pulls up for Contingent big time, favoring the red side in this matchup as Sternfire now is caught up. But here comes Daption looking to collapse on a Mike Young. The Dark Procession going to hold him into place. Mike Young going to have to retreat. Jacob going to try to turn the play back around. It's going to be a 1-for-1 jungler for top laner as Mike Young has successfully retreated.
Sternfire is a madman. He knows he's going down, but they trade 1-for-1 jungler for top laner. And this is the difficulty now with the mid lane. I mean, when you don't have the Herald and your mission is to wave clear and try and get a turret against an Anivia that now has 2 points in ultimate on top of the Malignants and 8 stacks on the Rod of Ages. Just quit. You're never getting that tower so long as he's there. As now Geiger is in a bit of a pickle.
He is in the 1 versus 2.
He's very tanky.
Coming on up to try to support him. Daption going to come on up to help out.
Oh, Xiao Danny ulted the clone.
Ooh, I missed that, but ooh.
That's an oof. Yeah, that's a Roblox oof sound effect right there. You know, it's okay. At this point, ultimates just are on such a low cooldown that it doesn't matter.
Oh, Mixture waiting in the minion wave. Catches out Xiao Danny. Catches a man when he's not counting. Mike going to look to clean this up, and I think he will successfully make it the 1-for-1. Although Mixture manages to evade, the wind becomes lightning. Jenkins throws out the boomerang, and finally it will go the way of Mike Young.
Yo, I know Jenkins in his mind is like, I gave up a wave bot. You could see those minions crash. He was like, I wanted that kill. I gave up minions for that. He didn't even get the assist, so not worth it for the top laner there. He's a little sad about that, but we can see the other top laner is spending his time wisely. Geiger finally going to be able to break open that top lane tier 1. As we've been seeing just generally a lot of team fighting in this game so far, Gordo. We didn't really touch on it, but the importance of these 2 top laners really is in the fact that they can side lane and pull pressure away from the map and then escape to just give their team openings to cross map. So far, though, we haven't been seeing a lot of split push shenanigans come through from the Yorick in this game. That is his first tower taken of this match 20 minutes in. So side laning not really being a concern, and a team fight Yorick is not something that you see every day.
No, it's not. It may be something you're going to have to get used to in this game, as the side lane assignments have been all over the place.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one. Mike finds an angle onto Mixture, trying to stack up Q on his clone. Will get the knock up, but is going to get turned around on. Sternfire gets thrown back in towards Shogo's face, realizes he's outnumbered and has to retreat. Mixture now going to get pressured by Jenkins, trying to escape with the help of the Proto Belt. Will get his way over to the Blast Cone in time and will be able to retreat. Daption arrives in mid lane to back up the rest of his team, and it looks like nobody going to drop for that engagement. Not even Flash is blown.
Nope, no flash is going to be expended, and I gotta say, I love how aggressively Mike Young is willing to play this game as Meganar is here. Daption has to be very careful.
Shogo coming up. Daption able to space out the Gnar, but he's stuck anyway.
It was a
Wallop gonna
ruse!
do its job. Not able to work through Shogo, and Daption will be the one who dies for this attempted pick. But I think this is Mixture coming in on the flank. He comes in the front line, actually. That's the real Schernfire coming in on the flank. He stuns Shogo for the first kill. Now looking for Jenkins. Can't find it. Stuck in place for too long. Geiger looking to 1v1 Shout Danny in the bottom lane. He's not going to be able to complete that kill either. Does force out the flash. It's a 2-for-1, this time in favor of Apex, but they do lose their bot lane tower. Now Xiao Danny and Geiger gonna engage in a poke war. Severing Bolt doesn't connect. Jenkins trying to get involved. He finds the boomerang. He takes down Geiger. Shut down back over to Apex. That makes it a 3-for-1 in the extended trade.
This game is crazy, Gordo. Bodies are dropping left, right, and center. Dragon gonna be up in about 10 seconds. And with Geiger dead, by the time it comes up, I feel like Apex should have this in their clutches. Immediately upon respawn, we can see teleport coming in for Jenkins as well, but look at how much vision is bought here by Contingent on the top side. They could look to threaten a cross-map Baron, but they've got to pull the trigger soon, and it doesn't look like they are willing to do so. So Soul Point going to be there for Team Apex, and Contingent, just the death tempos are offset from one another. They aren't able to look for anything in time.
Contingent.
They are looking
for something. They're
surely it's too late.
This is a TP being channeled by Geiger. He doesn't have the maiden to help them out. Mixture going to spot them on the approach. You've got to believe that they got to peel away from this. Xiao Danny doing a TP over to mid lane. Jenkins is about to go mega.
It's too late, guys.
Inside the pit and find 5 members. They've got to peel off this one right damn now. Baron going to regen back up, and Contingent were able to back away. They play that one on a knife's edge, but they do not get caught.
They just needed to start it sooner, and they probably could have completed it. Jenkins looking for a shove, but he's got to be very careful where he steps. It will give them enough space to be able to claim mid lane tier 1, so more objectives being taken here by Team Apex. On top of the Dragon's Soul Point, just a miscalculation from Contingent. I feel like they were probably under the assumption that Apex had started up the objective sooner. Schernfire almost taken down.
Schernfire still got to keep his blue suede shoes on, dodges a Severing Bolt, dodges a Starfall, and dodges a Spiraling Despair. I think any of those except maybe the Starfall landing would have killed him. And this is a clone for Mixture taking abuse from Xiao Danny. No worries there.
This is a Meganar now. You've also got Callista, so the extra smite damage. Contingent have to fight this. They cannot leave it up to a 50-50.
Yeah, Season trying to step up, does get rooted, is going to get focused, tries to flash back away. Mike Young's all over him. Now it's Schernfire jumping on in, going to try to focus down that jungler. They peeled off the Baron now. Everybody grouped up together has to flash back away. The damage of Season leaves is just too much to deal with. Soraka healing is huge though. Wish has been cast. Everybody at about half HP as Contingent still thinks that they can take this one. Wind becomes lightning, connects onto Season. He's got to be careful about that potential redive. That was Fate's call used and going to be expended for nothing. Kelpa will not find the engage. Apex channeling recalls.
Hey, Team Apex, they get bullied off of the Baron, aren't able to complete that. Yeah, Contingent really had to pull the trigger and be willing to fight there, because if it came down to Schernfire looking for a 50-50 smite steal, that was not going to work out for them. The Callista Rend just does so much extra damage, and Apex would have surely gotten that. So they made the right call to just full force engage, and they bully them off of the river on top of that. So you can see they claim some vision around the top side for themselves at the same time by denying the Baron. And that really has to be the focal point of this game now. We are, of course, still having that sole objective, that win condition active for Team Apex, but the Baron has to be in the back of the minds of both of these teams, just given that the death timers are getting longer, and one pick could spell the difference between getting that objective and being denied it further.
Huge spike just secured for Contingent. Daption, after picking up that top wave, did get his Infinity Edge. Yep. 3 items Unara now. That's going to give them a whole lot of extra damage beyond just Seasonal Leaves and Schernfire in these fights. Geiger, of course, too. Don't want to disrespect my man with the quadra kill at the Dragon fight earlier. I think Contingent are officially outscaled now. They should be favored in these fights in even scenarios.
All right. Dragon up in about a minute 45. You can see that Geiger is looking to give Contingent some priority on this part of the map. Jenkins gonna go Mega Gnar though. He is absolutely fisting this Yorick.
They are calling over Schernfire though. He's going to try to come and turn around this fight. Will be able to do so. Schernfire going to try to make it a 1-for-1. Wish is going to do some work to make it that it's not quite that close. Flash forward from Schernfire. Can't get in range with the leap strike. He's going to try to turn his combat back onto Mike Young, but he's been fighting 2 targets for too long. 2-0 Apex in the bottom lane, but they're calling over reinforcements. Daption and Season are here. It's a full send towards the bottom side. The carries are going to try to turn this one back, but the Baron going to get started by the squishies on the opposite side. Mixer coming in here as well. Mike Young trying to buy time in the 1 versus 2. Going to lock down Daption, but the Glacial Storm will be enough. Shutdown secured for Daption. Mixture looking to try to find Jenkins on the other side. And meanwhile, this 3-man squad with the Soraka at their backs thinks that they can take down the Baron. Jenkins been found by Mixture. Tangle Barb's not going to connect. He goes Mega. He has to scoot back away. Season of Leaves arrives to the scene. Getting in there with the Flash Frost. Should be able to finish off this Gnar before too long. It goes over to the support. The stacking spears from Shogo should secure this Baron for the side of Apex. But Geiger is getting in there. Baron gonna get smited down. Cannot be stolen away by the Yorick. Apex walk away with Baron. Down 2 members. They wear it on 3.
And now I'm questioning if that's worth it, Gordo. I mean, you get Baron on 3, but you're giving over the soul at the same time. You are going to have to wait another 5 minutes before that objective belongs to you. And look at the waves. You have to fix these before you can really start threatening these tier 2 turrets. It just kind of feels like it really is going to be up to the 3 members of Apex to make the most of this Baron. But even with Baron, how are you going to deal with the wave clear of Season of Leaves? How are you going to deal with the split pushing of Geiger? Contingent have the tools to make this Baron not as effective for Team Apex. And I feel like they have been playing this game to the point where it is hard for them to actually make use of it and get the empowered minions onto those tier 2s to threaten the turrets.
And there goes the Dragon. That death timer actually critical on Mike Young because it means Contingent get the Dragon on respawn so they don't get pressured off it by the Baron buff being won by 3. They can play full defense. They don't have to worry about the power it gives you over mid lane to be able to convert over to Dragon. Contingent with a nice position on the map despite having given up that Baron. They just need to avoid the kind of mistaken fight that could cost them a whole bunch of structures. This might be that fight. In goes Schernfire, stuck inside the Equinox, pops the counter-strike, able to retreat back away. That's 3-man pop blossom from Mixture, allows Daption to open up and clean house. Mike Young going to try to fend them back away. Geiger going to be able to finish off Kelpo on the opposite side. Mike Young going to try to turn it back around, going to send Season of Leaves into the egg. Jenkins hammering him from over the wall, but Mixture and Geiger show up to back up their bird, and Season of Leaves refuses to fall, comes back from the egg. Shout Danny, the last one standing, with Geiger in pursuit.
Geiger trying to get the chase, but Xiao Danny should be able to get out of here. He is, however, low on mana, so they are closing the distance. Slow does land.
And there's the combo. Xiao Danny will fall for the ace. Contingent will re-solidify themselves in the game, even up against 3 Baron buffs, even with Schernfire caught inside that Equinox. They stand and fight, and Daption gets a massive burst on a Shogo off of this Pop Blossom.
Yeah, this Pop Blossom was huge. 3-man, I mean, Daption is over the wall. He has a perfect way to dish out damage without receiving any. The flank comes through. Mike Young is able to flash, secure the kill, but by this point, it just feels like Team Apex are too split. Geiger is healthy. Season of Leaves goes into the egg. And that was just such a crucial ultimate from Mixture to start up the fight. And I bet Apex are thinking in their head right now, Gordo, boy, I wish I had Mountain Soul.
Mixture is clutching up in this game number 3 so much, and he's looking to find another one. Tangle Barb's just barely short. Schernfire not dissuaded. He's going to step up as though that route was there, because the rest of the team is right behind him, and they're ready to tear into Mike Young. Sent into the Guardian Angel. There's going to be the route coming out across the map. Crucial stasis from Mixture going to avoid the spiral fair, but he's been left out to dry by the rest of his team. Mike Young will melt him down without an issue, and Contingent down a member forced to retreat.
Right, it's a pick over to Apex right now. No objective going to be up for another 2.5 minutes, but with Mixture and the Nico down, it means that you can rest easy and push out these waves without a Nico being in disguise to try and jump you. But again, I mean, this is the issue that we keep harkening back to. Everywhere Season of Leaves is a place where you as Team Apex can't afford to be pushing out. You cannot get priority against this Anivia. It is just too difficult. Teleport there from Xiao Danny. He's going to be able to get out, and all of Contingent are, you know, centered around that top side. At least their top side is, their mid jungle is. So that opens up the door to set up around this bot side, but Jenkins is looking to scrap here. Taken very low, has to be very cautious of where he steps, but Mike Young has found Daption.
Daption has found Mike Young. Mike Young has found Daption, and it's Daption who comes out on top. He's got more members. It's his side of the map. And Schernfire getting in there onto Jenkins. Perfect wall from Season of Leaves will cut him off. And just like that, 5 versus 3 on the map. That's the worst Pop Blossom I've ever seen. I don't know what's going on in the jungle, but Contingent waste one ability. They still win out on the exchange.
They'll have it up by the time the dragon spawns, though. Baron as well as in hot pursuit timer-wise. So I wonder how this is going to shake out, because you can see that Contingent off of that kill onto Bob Jenkins. Look at how much vision they have deep in enemy territory on Apex with that top side. They could very easily threaten this Baron, but they've got very little eyes on this bot side. So going for this dragon feels inherently risky. If they want to try and go for a trade of objectives, I feel like that is an opportunity they could take, but it puts them on a timer, because that's Mountain Soul over to Team Apex. That is a costly investment, and one that you have to immediately make use of when you've got Baron, because once that wears off, you're just dealing with a Mountain Soul Team Apex.
Definitely need to keep that control. I think Contingent are a team that plays excellently with that control, though. It's really hard for Apex to force an engage. The wall, there's 2 walls. They've got Geiger's wall and Season's wall. They've got the threat of the Pop Blossom. They got this long-range Flash Frost for some additional zoning. It's very difficult to step up here, and they don't even necessarily have the stronger front to back, because this Yunara is starting to fully stack up on items.
Ara is getting really close to that full build, as you say. Mike Young taking a chunk out of his health bar is Season of Leaves, and both teams just vying for mid control, but that wall is very big, very cold, and very good at zoning off Team Apex into this topside choke point, where they will get the Empower Crab, so they will have eyes on where Contingent have vision. Dragon has been started up and taken by Schernfire, so no cross map is available. That is just denied yet again for Team Apex. Both squads now on Soul Point.
Season of Leaves just owns the center of the map. He's got the upgraded Swifty boots. He's the fastest one in these engagements. He keeps just stepping up, landing the slow off of Glacial Storm, turning that into a Flash Frost, chunking somebody for about a quarter of their health, and able to constantly kite back away. They don't have the engage tools to punish him for doing this. He's just doing it on repeat over and over again. Baron. As now with that mid control, they're going to start up the Baron. Season able to dodge away from another win becomes lightning attempt. The Glacial Storm plus the wall, keeping them zoned away. That costs Xiao Danny about half his HP for even daring to be in the area. Geiger going to look to start off a 1 versus 1 with Jenkins up on the top side as a result of this, and this river belongs to Contingent.
Jenkins gonna go mega on a timer to try and make something happen now, try and get an engage off, but we can see how respectfully Contingent are playing around this river. Schernfire, or rather Mixture cosplaying as Schernfire, going to be spotted out here. And it looks like nothing is going to come of this fight. Baron is up, but neither team is willing to pull the trigger or has the damage to one-shot it in time before the other squad can react. But now that mid-prio is bought here by Apex, they will at the very least be able to get some wards and some statements up here in topside river.
He's now up a full item here. I do think they are now tied on items in the bottom lane as Shogo able to finish off that Jacques show for a little bit of extra tankiness, knowing that he is going to have to be up in the front lines, duking it out with this Jax, with this Yorick in these team fights. And it very well may just come down to who can execute better in one critical fight. But Contingent still continuing to flex their muscles, still continuing to go for this play pattern. This time Daption steps up to supplement Season of Leaves' damage. Schernfire trying to come in on the flank, or rather it's Jenkins trying to come in on the flank, and Schernfire saying, no way, get out of this river. This belongs to Contingent. Daption gonna be able to take him out, and Contingent get themselves the 5v4 they were looking for. That is the Baron alarm in your ears.
And they're going to to be able to secure it. The rest of Apex are about half HP, so they can't contest on this top side river. Contingent, finally, after battling tooth and nail for control of the river, will get the Baron and are on a timer to get priority ahead of the Dragon. 2.5 minutes until that spawns, but you've got the Anivia, you've got the full build Yunara. It's so easy to get control of these lanes, Gordo.
Yeah, just going to take another reset, going to make sure everyone's at full health, going to make sure all that money is spent and in the inventory. Wouldn't even be too shocked to see an elixir or two at this stage of the game. 14 seconds to go on Jenkins. He will be up for another engagement when the time comes. 2 minutes to go on Dragon number 7. If that's not a sign of a close game, I don't know what is. But Contingent, with all the tools in their favor, will be able to use this Baron buff to get the lanes shoved, will be in such a favorable position coming into the Dragon. But Schernfire maybe about to walk into 4 members, tens them all, is trying to jump onto Kelpo. There is going to be a Fates call trying to get him out of there, and the backup coming through from the rest of the team. Schernfire still staying alive until Pop Blossom going to connect. He will finally fall, but have they opened up the door for a favorable team fight? It looks like the answer is no.
Bro.
Mixture will fall. 2 members of the Baroned up Contingent are on the ground, and Apex have control.
Apex, they've got to make use of this 40-second timer. They don't have the Baron. They've got to defend against the Anivia, but look at the rest of the lanes. They're bottlenecked into trying to push him bot.
Stepping up onto Shogo. Daption is ulting. Daption is flashing. Daption is one-shot Xiao Danny. Shogo is dancing backwards, staying alive with the martial poise. It is going to be Mike Young thrown into the Guardian Angel, and Daption's damage might just be too much to handle. Taking on each member of Apex in turn. 2 to him. Flash forward from Season of Leaves. Trying to secure a kill onto Kelpo. Trying to keep Shogo in place. Trying to end the game right here, right now. One more Flash Frost will put Shogo down, and Geiger with a TP into the base going to look to end game number 3 and put Contingent on match point.
40 minutes, nearly there, but Contingent get the job done. 6 dragons and multiple Baron attempts, a banger game 3, but now Contingent find themselves 1 win away from being able to sport themselves as the ACL champions, Gordo.
Contingent, after again a miserable game number 1, a forfeited game number 1, will come back to fire off 2 wins in a row from early game deficits. And this time it's an even split between basically everybody on this team. Tremendous work from Mixture, from that Dragon Steel that stopped them from getting the soul, to these Pop Blossom engages later on. Daption eventually comes online with a full build Yunara to end the final fight. Schernfire had incredible team fights. Season of Leaves played a great Anivia game. Geiger had a quadra kill in there. Everybody on Contingent coming alive in this game number 3 when they are needed most. And now this team finds themselves on match point.
Absolutely crazy series. I mean, every single game has been a banger so far, Gordo, whether it be a stomp like game number 1 or an absolute slugfest like games 2 and 3. But every game is getting progressively closer, and that just makes me excited for the remaining games of this series, because the teams are gradually warming up, and it feels like the margin for error is just getting that much thinner with every passing match. But once again, we're starting to see a pattern from these games, Gordo. Game 2 really had a lot of early game pressure applied by Team Apex, but then Contingent came back in the mid game, came back in the late game, and managed to find success on that end. And just like that, game number 3 was the exact same, and a lot of that you gotta give credit. I feel in this game the credit has to be given over to Daption. Had a really terrible early game on the Yunara, but scaled up, found resources, got into the side lane, and got to full build, and then just started ripping through health bars left, right, and center. Him and Season of Leaves being allowed to scale into what they became later on was the reason they won that game. They stall out the match and they just outscale. So a lot of credit over to them. Now 1 win away from being able to close out the final best of 5 here in the ACL.
Absolutely. And with that, we are going to take it to another break. We're going to give these teams a breather. We are going to come back in for game number 4 as soon as the teams are ready. We will see everybody after just a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL here on Aegis, where we have got a 2-1 advantage for Contingent Esports in our grand final. Still could be 1 or 2 more games left to play. If Apex can turn it back around, they will bring us to a game number 5, Quacks.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes game 5. Both games 2 and 3 have been extremely close. They've been played on a knife's edge, and it just feels like every single passing game gets closer and closer. The margins for error get thinner and thinner. So might be fate that for our final best of 5, we go the full distance, Gordo. There have been a good amount of 5-game bangers in the playoffs thus far here in the ACL. And so to send us off with one more would be fitting. But before we think about game number 5, we got to think about game number 4. And a lot of champions are starting to get fearless away. One thing that I do have to point out, though, and really another player that we have to just keep singing our praises on, is Season of Leaves with a clutch Anivia game in that third match. Had a great Lux game in game number 2 as well. And again, this is the player quite literally too young to compete at a higher level. This is about as high as he's capable of going in the North American competition. Once he gets older, he'll be able to break that barrier and go higher. But the fact that he is getting to grand finals, the fact that he is participating on a team full of OQ talent that is in the promotion tournament, Gordo, really sings to this guy's potential when he gets a few years older and then is able to actually get on to higher heights. So leaves you very excited for the future of North America, which is a sentence that I feel like we're saying less and less these days.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've said it before. I'll say it, like, if this guy was 5 years older and it was 5 years ago, yeah, then the hype for him would be insane, right? Like, we remember what things were like, or at least I do. Maybe not everyone's as old as me, but I remember what the hype for Sniper was like when he was like 13 years old getting Challenger, right? This wasn't even that long ago. I'm sure plenty of people remember that. I think Season at least is in a very similar position. This guy's Challenger at 12. He's now 15. Back when Sniper was 15, he was allowed to play in Tier 3. So, you know, rules have changed. But Season now a year out from being able to reach that new bar. And about to win a first ACL title here. This is getting very, very close to being able to you know, crown himself with the highest award possible for a player at his age.
For sure. I think that Season has been performing really nicely in the games that Contingent have won so far as well. Great, amazing Lux game in game number 2, and then really good Anivia game in game number 3 to just stall out the match, give Daption more time to build up some items. That wave clear really was the Achilles heel of Apex for the most recent game, Gordo. But now we're on to game number 4. Bans have been completed. Nothing is going to change. Jarvan, Senna, Orion, and Ash, and 2 Teemos all taken off the board, but Apex are on the blue side. They get the first pick, and I will say what I said in draft 3, where bot lane duos become increasingly more important to snag up the later into a best of 5 you get, just because they are harder to come by. And it seems like Apex are going to take a similar lesson to heart. Melio going to be the insta lock-in, probably preparing for a Lucian to be joined up with it. Contingent can respond by trying to steal that away. Nami is open too, so if you want to go for a Lucian Nami, I feel like that is probably Contingent's only route if they do decide to break up that pairing.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think the ban penalties are starting to become a bit of a challenge for Apex here, right? Like especially from blue side or from first pick side. That's a very early Sona. That's
an extremely early Sona.
What is...
Wow. No engage tools have been shown on Team Apex. Sona Seraphine
back? I don't know. What is this?
I'm trying to look. So you could go Sona Seraphine. You could go Sona Misfortune. You could go Sona Kog'Maw. Okay, so we have a Kog'Maw lock-in here for Daption in game number 4 of this best of 5. And I gotta say, this kind of feels like a similar trajectory to what we have been seeing from Daption so far in this series, Gordo, where he's just put on hyperscalers. He's put on these champions that can, no matter how down you are early on, as long as you are able to buy time and get items for late, you will be useful. We saw that be the opposite case in game number 1 with the Tristana, but ever since then, Ezreal, Yunara, those have have worked out, and Kog'Maw is a similar archetype to that. But my biggest worry is the Sona lock-in. You are so exploitable pre-6, and frankly, Apex haven't shown much of their hand yet. They don't have any hard engage. So if they just draft things that can pick you off, I feel like this Sona becomes very difficult to pilot for Mixture the later this game goes.
Yeah, so Aphelios coming on through for the Melio. Going to be the duo for Apex with their backs up against the wall. This could be their last game of the ACL split. This is what they want to throw down against the Kog'Maw Sona lane. I'm very curious. I mean, I think obviously Lulu Kog'Maw is still better. That's clearly Fearless away. But the Kog'Maw is starting to grow more and more in popularity. I think the other thing you got to keep in your back pocket here is this could be flexed to mid and a new bot laner could be picked.
That would be crazy to see a switch up of that caliber for Season of Leaves, by the way. If this guy goes from Lux, Anivia, and Mel to Kog'Maw, oh man, get this man in the LCS the moment he's old enough to do so. Like, and if he's able to look good on it, most importantly. Kog'Maw does follow a similar trajectory and style to the champions we've seen Season play before, but don't want to count my chickens before they hatch yet. We still got a lot of draft to go before this Kog'Maw's position is truly revealed. And Apex are going to go for the jungle on 3. They're going to give Mike Young the Shyvana. This feels like as much of a commodity, giving you that engage onto the immobile backline of Contingent as much as it feels like a denial. This is a Surefire favorite in the ACL so far.
I'm very interested in this Shyvana, by the way, Quacks. I don't know if you've gotten to see well, I don't even know if the VOD is up yet, so I don't know if you've gotten to see the Shyvana game from Jenkins a couple days ago. Oh my god, Jenkins full AP Shyvana top is something else, dog.
I'll look forward to it if it does.
We're in for a treat. We're in for a treat.
Right.
Everybody who wasn't here a couple days ago, get ready.
So I feel now Contingent are probably going to snag up a jungler of their own. What does Surefire have in his back pocket? I think Skarner could have a lot of value, but Melio already being locked in makes that difficult. Syndra going to be the option instead, so they're going to hold the jungle pick for Surefire for now in favor of giving something over to Season of Leaves. So it won't be a Kog'Maw mid lane. Instead will be just another artillery long-range mage. Gives you a little bit more burst than I think we're used to seeing from Season of Leaves, bar that Lux that was literally one-shotting people with Final Sparks. But ult is going to be very good for dealing with this Aphelios later on, especially as you stack those splinters. And once you get that execute, it'll be progressively more difficult for Shogo to play out these team fights. But my biggest concern is going to be getting through this Shyvana. No matter where Shyvana is, whether it's top or jungle, Gordo, you've got frontline as Team Apex. And I feel like they just need one more guy to be a bodyguard for Shogo in this game, and they should have a really solid front to back.
So also, I mean, I forgot to say when we came back, so I'm going to say it now. Big shout out to Titan Esports coming in with a fat raid a few moments ago. Welcome to everybody coming in from the Titan stream. You're here just in time for a big game number 4 of the ACL Grand Finals. Syndra was the last lock-in here. Apex going to still have 2 more bans on the table. The Syndra for Season of Leaves will mean that Kog'Maw is no longer at risk of being flexed to mid.
Nope.
What does Geiger have for the full AP Shyvana top? It's a question that you need to answer. It was a question that Trey Dog did not have a good answer for a couple days ago and ended up being a huge problem for Contingent in that lower final.
I mean, you could just opt in for like a tank. Like, I don't hate Ornn into this comp either. If you're playing for late game, I think ornaments have a lot of value for these hyperscalers on Contingent. Plus, it gives you some disengage as well. You've got the Q plus the E. You've got ways to essentially peel for your backliners. So I think that's a good option. If Geiger wanted to be a crazy person and be more aggressive, he could do like the Olaf, but that feels absolutely wild. Sion would be probably the most boring answer, but we'll have to see, as Silas going to be the lock-in here. And I think that's going jungle, Gordo. So Surefire going to be on a champion that I feel is completely opposite of the style we have grown fond of and the one that he has used throughout the playoffs, which is farm till 6, play for tempo, be up on your counterpart by 8 minutes. He's playing on a timer to get stuff done.
I'm not sold this is Silas jungle. This might be Geiger's pick into the Shyvana top. Silas stealing Shyvana ult has been a huge problem since the Shyvana rework. It's incredibly powerful in full AP builds. That's why Jenkins has been going full AP builds. You still get access to that from the Silas jungle, so it's going to be something that we talk about in game regardless. But oh boy, and also this Ambessa means that the Shyvana and Ambessa are on a two-way flex. I think it's still much more likely to be Shyvana top for Jenkins. There's the Graves. I think it is Silas top. I think it is Silas top.
It's Silas top. That's crazy, but it's Graves jungle for Contingent. I have not seen this champion in a competitive match of League of Legends in so damn long, Gordo, and it is the Shyvana top against the Silas. There's gonna be action all across the map. There's gonna be blood on the floor from minute one, and it's never gonna stop. There's so much scaling on these teams. They can do the same thing in the early game as they are the late game.
I'm pouring my water on my head, Quacks. I'm losing it. Contingent pulling out all the stops in game number 4. They want to slam the doors shut right here, right now. Fearless is ridiculous in the ACL. Look at these drafts.
All right, so looking at Team Apex, they've got the front to back composition that we talked about, buying space for Shogo in the team fights, allowing him to scale into that monster we know Aphelios can be. But most importantly, Gordo, look at the engage. Look at the lockdown on this top side. It is so easy to set up free kills for Shogo once they get the Aphelios into the mid lane and allow for him and Kelpo to kind of maneuver around the map as a confluence. I feel like it'll be so effective for Team Apex to just move as a unit with the stun lock CC that they've got and just give free gold over to the scaling of Aphelios. And for the side of Contingent, again, you're without a frontliner. You're without a champion who really provides that safety and that security for you to go into these team fights. So the scaling on Daption, the scaling on Surenfire, you have a double marksman comp. You need to get out ahead early, and you need to make sure you are buying space ahead of these objectives, because once it comes to front to backing, Team Apex have you beat in that regard 10 times out of 10.
So we got a little bit more time before we get onto the Rift. There was a mistake in the in-game draft, so it had to be recreated. And I think that's just the players having our backs, Quacks, because there's too much going on in this draft for just a few seconds. We have got ourselves the Ambessa versus Graves jungle matchup. The invade. I don't know who wins this one-on-one. The Graves one-on-one potential is pretty high.
Graves wins. I mean, the biggest Achilles heel for Ambessa early on is how high your cooldowns are. So once you use those abilities, you're not cycling back for another round of those. I think the more consistent damage is for sure on the Graves. If Surenfire wants to try and win out on this matchup, I feel like he has to do it early, because once Mike Young gets some lethality under his belt, once he gets some damage into the Ambessa and the cooldowns of this champion start to get lower and lower as the game goes on, it's going to be really difficult for you to actually navigate these team fights, especially because you're a very short-ranged marksman. You play more like a melee than you do a ranged champion, and this top side is going to have your number every single time.
Yeah. Additionally, I mean, bot lane 2v2 has been incredibly bloody.
It has
all
been. Series
long, and now it's double enchanters, double hard scaling carries. But I don't want to disrespect the early brawling power of the Kog'Maw either. Kog'Maw Lulu is respected as a lane dominant duo for a reason. The Sona with her Q, I'm really having my play-by-play knowledge transferred here. I do not know what the Sona Q is called. I'm sorry. But it is going to be serving as a pseudo Lulu, and when he fires off that Bioarcane Barrage, it's going to win them trades.
It is, but my biggest worry for Daption in this game isn't in the 2v2s. It's just about the late game. I mean, you as Kog'Maw, it's actually proven that Kog'Maw as a champion, you maximize your damage by standing still. standing still in this game is a death sentence. So you're gonna have to give up essentially some of your DPS. You're gonna have to min-max that a little bit in favor of not getting publicly executed, not getting a fireball thrown in your face, not having a dragon come through the stratosphere and land on top of you. There are so many ways Team Apex can get into the backline of Contingent Esports, and that at the end of the day is my biggest concern. How immobile the backline is, how squishy they are, and the fact that they don't have a frontliner to really buy them space in these team fights. Contingent have to jump out to an early lead, or else I just feel like they're doomed.
Thank you to production. It's called Hymn of Valor. That's the name we were looking for the Sona queue. As I'm trying to calm myself down a little bit here, I'm still going a million miles an hour from the last game, and we've got a whole bunch of gameplay left. We might have 2 games left, Quack, so we might only be 60% through.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cause any fear. I don't mean to strike fear into your heart here, but that is the situation we find ourselves in. Let's talk about Sylas versus Shyvana a little bit more. As far as the pre-level 6 1v1 goes, I think it's probably actually pretty even. The big thing that has been a point of contention since the Shyvana rework dropped is that Sylas is ridiculous win rate versus Shyvana. Like, we're talking Malphite levels, and I know Geiger played Malphite earlier this series, because when he steals away Shyvana ultimate, he gets so much value from that full AP build.
And that really is like your only hard engage, by the way, is Geiger stealing Shyvana ultimate. You have no real way to actually begin these fights. I mean, if Season of Leaves gets like a clutch 3+ man combo with his QE, there's something, but that feels like a difficult world to imagine, especially with Breath of Life being active. Like, you also have the ability to cleanse that. So it's a tough world for Contingent with this draft. They've got a lot of damage, but I feel like they're just lacking in every other department, as we are onto the Rift for potentially the final game of the ACL split. Grand finals win is in the eyes of Contingent, and all they need is to blow up one more Nexus to achieve it.
Going to be Contingent on match point here. A little bit of space to play with, but certainly would rather close the game out right here, right now. Early exchange trade going to favor Xiao Danny ever so slightly, but it is a tough matchup for this Annie, so you're going to take any kind of small lead you can get for yourself. Adaption Mixture looking for violence from the start. Ghost opt by Adaption to try to run down Kelpo.
You can see Shoko using the Severum, I believe is the sniper rifle, right, to try and match range with the Kog'Maw ever so slightly, as just a lot of scrapping happening in topside too. Geiger misses out on the E2 to try and get a favorable trade against the Shyvana, who, it is worth noting, Gordo did opt for the Ignite. So Jenkins is looking to kill this Sylas early on.
Oh, going to be their early priority. I think getting an advantage onto Jenkins is going to be their best recipe. The thing is, I think normally it is more standard Shyvana builds that are having a tough time up against the full AP Sylas. But Jenkins has been building pretty full AP Shyvana anyway, so they may be on more even standings. I think most of the complaints about the Sylas counterpick are coming from AD Shyvanas, as that's going to be the stun from Xiao Danny, but Season leaves with a beautiful flash away. Not enough! An excellent placement from Mike Young will get the kill to Apex, and they walk away with first blood once again.
Good early gank there from the jungler of Team Apex, and the point-and-click CC is all the Ambessa needs to secure that kill. Season of Leaves using the flash too, so will be vulnerable to a potential re-gank as he teleports back toward the mid lane. Mike Young will end his clear on the top side, and for the first time this entire series, Gordo, we actually have the junglers pathing away from one another. So I feel like that favors the Ambessa, who again we talk about as being a monster in the late game.
Yeah. I think so. Going to at least be able to avoid Graves for the time being is that Ambessa. So they will perhaps trade Scuttlers, although that was an early recall from Mike after being able to pick up that first blood. It will give him the early pickaxe, will make him late to this top side, but because of that reversal start that you talked about, No opportunity to punish from Schernfire. Slow on a Shogo. This guy's a little bit low. The dive going to be a little dicey, though. Double stun from the blue-purple combo. Flash after Daption. No heals left. Looking for the damage. Trying to turn it back on a Shogo. Daption will claim him and die to Kelpo. You'll take that all day, every day. And Schernfire here to clean up a second. 2-1 for Contingent.
They see Schernfire and Team Apex know they're cooked, so they have to look for the aggressive play. They managed to get one back, but the kill gold not really where they wanted it. Kelpo gonna pick that one up, so a good winning trade there for Contingent. They get gold on both of their marksmen, and it is a early start and a good one for both these junglers, as Mike Young wants to make it better.
Over the wall, Mike Young looking to get in here, but Season of Leaves again ready with the scatter of the week. Will create space and get himself out of there. Wow, Geiger having himself a nice trade up the top side. They are trying to focus on the Season here, trying to get Xiao Danny into that one-shot potential. Another nice trade from Shogo to get some good damage on adaption there. And I think they're got to be incredibly pleased with how that trade in the bottom lane went. The fact that Daption got a kill and Shogo didn't gives him a huge advantage for these future one-on-ones.
Shogo still does have the scaling. You can see he picked up the cull, so Aphelios is going to be stalled out early on, but again, we talk about these AD carry picks being useful in the context of the late game, and we can see Mike Young still trying to propel that early game forward. Gravitum probably going to give the lockdown necessary.
Slow up connected onto Mixture, chase down from Mike Young. Mixture doing his best to try to kite this one out. And one more blast from the Infernum will pass through Daption and execute Mixture. Shogo's on the board.
Daption, unfortunately, the segue, the taxi auto, and the splash damage does find the last little bit of DPS needed. Takedown Mixture as now level 6 dinged for the Shyvana immediately goes forward. Schernfire, though, is also on the Dragon, so contrary to what we've been seeing all series long, it is not Mike Young sneaking the objective. It is the Contingent jungler this time, Gordo.
Geiger flashes forward. He's got the stolen away. Dragon. It's Dragon versus Dragon in the top side. But Geiger has got way more cooldowns. He will win out that 1v1. Solo kill to Geiger on the counter pick.
House of the Dragon Season 3 is not sponsoring this stream.
And it kited out here. Daption able to outrun the Ultra Mega Fire Kick. And Mike Young trying to be everywhere at once is getting out farmed here. And so far, other than that kill in mid, has not been able to get too much done.
No, he really hasn't been. He's really trying to accelerate the bot lane of his team. But like you said, look at Schernfire's CS at the current moment. I mean, he has basically double or close to double over what Mike Young currently has, and he's playing the Graves. I think we talk about both of these junglers as being very strong in the scaling department, so the fact that the lethality user, well, they're both actually building lethality. You can see the brutalizer is picked up here for Mike Young, so that's going to be pretty rough. If you were able to get first item quicker than your opponent and you're both building lethality, that is a huge break point for you to be able to abuse. So definitely something to watch out for with Schernfire.
Definitely is. Schernfire just scaling up, just having a very good Graves game for himself here. He's able to keep on farming. He was even able to clean up a quick free kill. He's super accelerated and wants to be able to get onto that 1 to 2 item power spike. Be able to just really wreak havoc and one-shot folks inside the jungle. Once again, facing down a pretty squishy team comp. This is not going to be a tanky Shyvana. This is not going to be a tanky Ambessa. He is going to have the game of his life if he is able to keep this lead going. Xiao Danny all in on the Season of Leaves, gets him for about half.
Pick up the Tibbers, though. Doesn't look like it's going to be necessary, as just going to be a trade of health bars a little bit in the mid lane, but have to keep our eyes on Xiao Danny. He is pushed up, and there is actually no vision on this top side, so Schernfire is not spotted out here. Could look for a gank, but is going to opt instead to just continue on clearing. I think he understands how much further ahead he is in gold and in tempo compared to Mike Young, so just wants to go for the guaranteed plays. And I do agree with him that mid lane gank, a kill is definitely not guaranteed there because Xiao Danny has flash, so I think it is the smarter choice from the Graves. And he will maintain that lead over his counterpart for now, as no objectives being spawned up anytime soon, and basically everyone having flash available everywhere except for that top side. I say that and the Grubs immediately spawn, so never mind.
Grubs on the table. So will not be able to be contested by Contingent. It is a recall coming through from Surenfire. He's got his Yomus already. That's pretty nuts. But should come at the cost of grubs to Apex if Mike Young is willing to hang out and secure them all for himself. That's an unleashed power out of season to take Xiao Danny to a tiny sliver. Should force that Annie back.
All right, so Xiao Danny's going to be forced to reset, but he doesn't have to stay on the map for anything. He's got teleport, and you can see Grubs went over to Team Apex. I do wonder how they're actually going to be able to make use of these, though, because we haven't seen any plates taken by Team Apex so far in this game. So this feels like more of a denial rather than a commodity.
Adaption's out of mana, getting run down by Shogo. Another Moonlight Vigil going to slow him up with the Gravitum, but not comfortable to chase any further. The flash is up and available. Adaption should have been able to get out of that. Surenfire arriving, but will be thwarted by an Ultra Mega Fire Kick from Kelpo. Should be able to keep him standing.
We do see that Surenfire showing on the bot side. Mike Young is in top lane to maybe look for something, but he can't really do anything in these solo lanes. I mean, mid lane, Season of Leaves has flash, so he should be able to get out of any public executions, and diving the Sylas when he has the option to take the Shyvana ultimate just feels like a good way to get yourself killed. So very limited opportunities for the AMBS on this top side, which just, again, reinforces how important it is that this bot lane matchup go your way.
Yeah. So that does continue to mean that Apex need to stick around this bottom lane basically full time.
Yeah.
They really want to make sure that they're going to have this Aphelios to be able to lean on in the later game situations. They know that their top lane matchup feels disadvantaged. They know the mid lane matchup is the same. Here's the dive onto a soul mixture. Crescendo connects on a 3, but well countered by a breath of life from Kelpo. Will make that dive clean.
And a few plates to go along with Shogo on top of that. This might be another Dragon v Dragon showdown.
Well, missing the Dragon's Breath, I think, is pretty huge here. It's going to be a return ultimate from Geiger, flashing right back over. Surenfire arrives, doesn't even need the collateral damage as Geiger gets his second.
I think we know which Dragon is better at the current moment, Gordo. Geiger winning basically 2 1v1s. Surenfire was really just there to be a spectator to all of the fire and the flames being spit on that top side. And more plates going to be going over to the Sylas. So the scaling element of this Contingent comp does feel like it is starting to come through for the top lane. Season of Leaves is farming up a storm. Geiger is able to win out on the 1v1s, and Surenfire is doing a great job at keeping his tempo up. So this is all what we talked about needing to happen here in the early game. As season is going forward.
And he's got Surenfire at his back. Double stun comes through, and Kelpo's going to be the target. Surenfire stepping up, looking to disconnect a couple of shots. One more would have been able to get him in range for the collateral damage. Not feeling like it's going to reach this time. They will let him go. But yeah, I mean, Season just wants to keep up this mid pressure for as long as he sees the opportunity.
And that's going to be Dragon over to Contingent as well. They chunk out the health bars, they force the resets, and this is actually a really good denied opportunity from Apex. Contingent see that red-white is actually there for Shogo, and if Apex aren't able to fight on that timer, that's just a really good condition burned. So that's a Dragon take, but also it just means that Apex aren't able to fight when they're strong, and it's going to mess them up a little bit, because that Dragon stacking is once again in favor of Contingent. It feels like the stacking of this objective has been such a core central theme of the series so far. It's not going to be any different here in Game 4.
Not at the current pace. Shogo still trying to work his way up to that first item. Adaption in the same camp. It's really only the junglers who do have access to that spike. Yeah, looking up top here. Still a ways to go until the Rift Herald. It's a flash engage from Xiao Danny, but they are not going to be able to follow up. That was a public execution stolen away by Geiger. Not going to be able to find its mark, and now Surenfire might be up too far, trying to kite it back away. Stays alive, dodges out on the returned public execution, and somehow nobody dies.
That was a good attempted punish there from Surenfire. Once public execution misses, he flashes forward with Red Pet to try and get the slow, but Xiao Danny is able to waddle away from that fight. Has teleport to get back to the lane on top of that. So yeah, nobody dying there is absolutely crazy, by the way. A bunch of members living on 1 HP essentially.
Dead even in gold, dead even in kills. Contingent with a 2-dragon advantage, but this is about as close as you could hope for this game to be, for what could be the final game of the series. Apex not willing to go down without a fight. Take Contingent band for band there, but nobody going to end up dropping down.
But look at the top side. Geiger feels like the guy who is very ahead of his counterpart at the current moment. 2 kills to his name, a full turret worth of gold. This Sylas has done a great job at scaling and snowballing up to be a threat. And this is very different from the Apex we have seen so far in this series. Usually they're the ones taking the early game by storm, winning out in the 2v2s and pushing that advantage to go for dragons. And then Contingent come along in the mid to late game and just mess all of that up. But it feels like Contingent have been a lot more consistent this early game while also keeping that pressure on the dragons for later in the game.
I don't know if that was just the buffer timer on recall or if that was a quick warm hugs from Kelpo to allow Shogo to complete that recall.
I think it was the shield.
Incredibly close. Recall being channeled by Daption, BP being channeled by Jenkins. Who's going to get here first? The recall is interrupted by a quick use of the Proto Belt, and Daption has got nowhere to go. Jenkins claims the kill off a huge, perfectly timed teleport.
In my head, the whole time I was thinking, Daption, please don't teleport, or Daption, please don't flash. Please do not flash. Please don't flash. And it seems like he listened to me. Now Mike Young is very deep in enemy territory.
Yeah, but does have the number advantage on the map. Over the wall, Scatter the Weak going to be able to stun him up. Mike Young incredibly low. There's the unleashed power from Season of Leaves to claim the kill. But now Jenkins still standing, still fighting. Tibbers with a big stun, going to get that shutdown kill onto Schernfire to make it a jungler for jungler exchange. And Shogo has Season of Leaves face check right into him. Shogo says, this guy's got no ultimate. He takes the fight and he cuts down Season of Leaves.
Shogo gets a return kill, and the turret on top of that, a bunch of gold, goes into the pocket of the Aphelios. But Geiger is just split pushing a storm on this top side. This Shyvana, or rather this Sylas cosplaying as the Shyvana, I should say, is just getting so much gold. But the scaling threat of this Aphelios is starting to rear its ugly head, and that has to be in the back of Contingent's mind. There's a dragon in about a little over a minute, and they've got to roam this Sylas down to participate.
You didn't fall for the Nico earlier in the series,
I
Quacks,
did fall,
but it came back. Somehow Nico returned.
Yes. We've got two we've got two cosplayers in this best of 5. We've got the Nico and we've got the Sylas. They're going to be at the next PAX convention right here. But
seems likely.
Yeah. Shogo, though, having that red-white to get the kill onto Season of Leaves means that he won't have red-white ahead of this next fight. Geiger looking for a kill. Teleported top lane, though, so this Sylas is not going to be involved if Dragon is started up right out of the gate, which is a very interesting decision from the Contingent Esports top side. This is your win condition. This is your lifeline into the late game. Like we talked about, the front line, the front to back for Contingent's comp is a lot harder to play out than Apex's. So you need this Dragon to kind of lean on to be that secondary win con late game so that you can apply some pressure post 20 minutes.
Shogo's up 2 levels, stepping up the dash and double flash stun from Xiao Danny. Puts Contingent in the dirt, a double kill to Shogo. And this Dragon should be all but theirs. Contingent not ready for that engage. Daption had flash up. Was not ready to be able to get out of there, and Xiao Danny makes a big double stun play with Shogo.
Season of Leaves is looking for something, but he's gonna get rooted up. He pushed too far.
Oh, looks too hard, believes too hard, and Shogo makes him pay for it. 5 kills now on Shogo's Aphelios.
This is such a rough spot to be in. I mean, you want to try and punish him without the flash, but Breath of Life is now back up from Kelpo. He's also going to be, I would assume he maybe also tries to go for the Mikhails later on. So 2 cleanses. I mean, locking down this target is going to be so damn difficult on the side of Contingent as Geiger is just looking for blood. Holy moly.
Flash in, finds Mike Young and says, give me that jungler. A pile of gold for Geiger, or his Dragon's Horde, as he takes his 3rd kill here on the Sylas.
This is such an ahead Silas at the current moment, Gordo, but really it feels like despite him being 3-0, despite him being up so much gold compared to Bob Jenkins, he isn't actually able to utilize that gold in a way that becomes a win con for his team. We can see he's split pushing on the bot side of the map with Season of Leaves.
Oh, Shout Danny and Schernfire seeing who can one-shot who, and Tibbers is putting in work. Tibbers take 2 rounds of buckshot for Shout Danny and keeps him alive for the 1 versus 1. Schernfire blown up.
Schernfire pushing up just a little too far there, gets blown up like you say. And again, my biggest concern is this Silas needing to be involved in these team fights. I was really surprised that he didn't cheat toward the bot lane to try and contest the dragon. Now Season of Leaves is in trouble. I've got no time to talk, Gordo.
You can keep talking, man. Season's cooked. He's done. He's going home. 30-second respawn timer for the Contingent Esports mid laner. Should not cost them an objective, but will set them even further behind in the gold as Apex have built up a 3K gold lead, largely off of the heroics of Shogo, who is now in a position to be this primary carry that they need him to be on the Aphelios. I do not know how you get a 2-level lead as 80 carry, but he's managed to do it, and he's just outputting way more than the Kog'Maw could ever hope to.
He is, and I mean, I am just so worried for the rest of the map now on Contingent's side. I mean, you've got first items and second items coming through from a lot of these late game carries, but all of that gold, all of that pressure really is on Geiger to be the guy making the difference in the team fight. I mean, you have such a favorable matchup against the Shyvana. You've got such a good ultimate to steal.
Oh.
And if you're not able to affect the map with that, it just feels like this counter pick is not having the influence we expect past the laning phase. And we need to see that happen in a match that is so pivotal and so decided by who plays out the team fights better.
That was a Moonlight Vigil shorted by Shogo to not quite reach Daption and Mixture, but they are still fishing for these engages in mid. It's a flash engage coming through from Jenkins, going to be able to get the fear onto multiple members, but the follow-up isn't quite there. Crescendo comes on across, going to get cleansed away by the Breath of Life. Season of Leaves lands a big ultimate of his own, but will get cut down. Shout Danny makes a massive Tibbers play. Geiger can't find the damage. Shogo stays alive and opens up. 4 members of Contingent fall, and Apex want a game number 5. Baron is going to be theirs.
It's starting to smell like a silver here, Gordo. Apex win what feels like a back-breaking team fight to take us to game number 5. A near clean ace into Baron with Dragon up in a little over a minute off the redeploy. We should see pressure in mid and bot and Contingent off that team fight, trying to get their way onto Shogo, but the Aphelios is too well guarded and he doesn't go down. The damage keeps pumping through, and Contingent, their hearts are not pumping blood anymore, it seems like.
Running out of steam here. It is the AP Kog'Maw build, which is interesting to see out of the bot lane, and just does not seem to be paying off for them here. They're not getting these kind of pokey engagements. Xiao Danny and Jenkins and Mike Young have been so quick on the trigger. They want to start these fights off immediately. They do not want to sit around waiting to get whittled down by this Syndra Kog'Maw combo, and it has worked for them several fights in a row now to torpedo them to a huge lead in this game. 7,000 in their favor. Feels incredibly difficult to come back from if Contingent can't start to create themselves better fight conditions. Oh, double stun found. Crescendo as well, but not going to be able to get Kelpo. Breath of Life not even used. He's able to just get out of there. Oh, natural.
Not enough damage put on to the backliners. Geiger as well. We talk about the Silas being the win condition, but I feel like all of that has changed now. I mean, he is a level down. Schernfire is just absolutely cooked.
Caught out, trying to escape, does stay alive, gets the heal from Mixture for a good measure. But Contingent are pushed off the play regardless. Apex going to be able to take down this turret. This is their Rift Herald. It means nothing. It's going to die instantly. Season trying to get some poke onto Danny, cannot do it. Doesn't have the damage because he's so far behind. And Apex are going to break up the base.
They are. They're not going to be able to pick up the inhibitor, but It is exposed. Shogo is just gliding on them right now, and Contingent have no hard engage. They've got no way to enter the fight. This was a thing that we talked about with their comp in the regard of lacking that ability to go in now, trying to punish Apex. They're not able to do it, Gordo.
Do have to disengage, and Contingent still looking for their fight, still looking for Geiger to be able to steal a big Shyvana fear, to be able to find their pathway in. But you called it out earlier, they don't really have a good way to start off fights, even if they do think they're favorable. And a favorable fight just feels like it's never coming at this stage. They're 8,000 gold down.
You're just outscaled at this point. It feels like Shogo is 3 items, one of which is the Infinity Edge, and I mean, this guy, oh my God, Mike Young finds the public execution. Season of Leaves goes down. Gordo, I think we're going to game 5, my friend.
It's going to be a huge, huge deficit that Contingent just cannot recover from. Second Dragon, sure. There's no way we're going to soul this game. Apex are in a position to be able to take us the full distance. They have such a huge lead here and are looking poised to be able to take this series the full distance.
No other way. It has been months and months, multiple best of 3s and best of 5s to get to where we are today. As Geiger and Bob Jenkins are at it with the Dragon 1v1, a dance of dragons.
Geiger's not winning anymore. Geiger is starting to lose out in this exchange. The gold, the level difference, the fact that Jenkins is level 16. Oh! Still not enough. Geiger will win the one-on-one. And he will stay alive. He's going to have to take that one into game 5, though, in all likelihood.
You're more than likely right. Kelpo maybe looking around, trying to finish off the low HP target, but he will escape there. Close 1v1, but in the grand scheme of things, doesn't feel like it is going to matter. And I feel like we have to call back to Geiger in this game as something we were expecting more from. I mean, you start out the game 3-0, the rest of your team is struggling. You have to be the difference maker that really goes into these team fights and makes the most of it. Xiao Danny.
Xiao Danny is found. Crescendo connects. He's one shot. Coach Fire will secure that one and will be able to create a little bit more time on the map, a little bit more of a numbers advantage to try to hang out.
Yeah. All right, so Geiger now has a clear path to at least go for this wave. We can see that Shogo is going to be contesting him in that regard, though. So Geiger has to be very careful about using those mobility tools too early. He will just get run down by the Aphelios, and it looks like the Storm Raiders' movement speed might just make that an irrefutable fact anyway.
Run out. Geiger gets himself away.
Jenkins doesn't have ult.
They die in this game. Now they think they've got a little pick onto Jenkins. He's trying to run his way out. The damage from Schernfire is significant. He will be forced to flash away.
All right. You can see they're trying to carve out some territory around this top side, but here comes the Dragon.
Coming on through, Jenkins going to find the fear. Mike Young coming in on the flank, will be able to execute on a mixture, but he gets turned right back around on, does stay alive. There's the Dragon ultimate coming on across from Geiger, trying to turn the fight back around. Mike Young somehow staying alive. Xiao Danny arrives. Kelpo somehow dancing around this one. He dodges everything, and everybody on Contingent has hit the ground. Season of Leaves on the opposite side of the map will be the only one who stays alive in this 2-for-4 team fight.
And just based on the way the waves are, I don't think they're going to be able to get the inhibitor just yet, but Baron likely going to be in the cards. That is up in about 20 seconds. All of Apex are going to redeploy. They'll be on the top side, so they'll be sporting some purple, Gordo. It looked like initially a good attempt there from Contingent, but the moment that Aphelios enters the fight and you've used all of your spells and all of your tools to deal with the other Apex members, he just gets to clean house.
Well, this Baron is going to get started up. Already down below 15k. Season going to be waiting. Mixture here as well. They're not going to have their jungler back in time. Just trying to find some of this poke damage. Daption would be a big source of that, but he will not be here in time. That Baron is going to Apex's hands. And this may be the one that they try to use to end the game, but Contingent have been showing signs of life here. Is it just going to be the dead cat bounce, or is it going to be a potential turnaround here? Contingent going to need to keep piecing together fights, but that last one was a mess.
It really is. And now Baron buff active. Dragon is going to be up in about a minute, but I feel like this is just, again, denying more win conditions from Contingent, who started off with 2 dragons. You know, it's funny. It feels like a story of opposites from what we expected of these teams, contrary to what we had been seeing all series. Contingent had rough early games into amazing mid to late games. Apex, it felt like a quiet early game for them, but ever since the late game has come through, they have been the ones dominating the map.
Burnfire was looking for a flank. He got found by Jenkins, who's now chasing him all the way back to the base. As Shogo can frontline here, leads the charge, knows he's got Kelpo in his back pocket in case the crescendo comes through. And it's just so hard for him to play the game. He's too quick on his feet. He has more damage than everybody on Contingent put together. And he is looking to take this all the way home for a game number 5.
He really is. I mean, the substitute for this team, but everyone knows who Shogo is. This guy commands the game to be played around him from both teams. And we're seeing why in this series. Flash burn from Dapsh and Mike Young. If he lands, that would have been certain death for the Kog'Maw. Apex are just squeezing their hand around the windpipe of Contingent at this point.
Flash in from Xiao Danny to get the execution onto Season of Leaves, and now the fight going to break out. Here comes Geiger on the back line. Does get the multi-man fear, but it's not onto Shogo. Jenkins breathing fire onto the back line. Will toast Dapsh and force back Mixture, force back Sharnfire, and Contingent have no ability left to play. Apex with 5 members strong. Geiger trying to hunt for one measly kill on the back line, and he will not find it. Apex will find their team fight, will find the Nexus turrets, and will find themselves in game number 5.
And we would have it no other way, Gordo. The final best of 5, and now 1 game between victory and death for both of these teams to end our ACL season. It has been such a long road to get here. And 1 game going to be the deciding factor on who gets to call themselves champions.
Absolutely. Going to go the full distance, going to go the full 5 of Fearless. We had a ridiculous game number 4 draft, and I think we're poised for an even more ridiculous game number 5 draft. A strong laning phase from Geiger, but that's about all you can write home about from the Contingent side in this game. Able to make a lot of plays in the 2 versus 2. A really strong early jungle from Mike Young to propel them into a position to be able to win what should be a very difficult matchup in the Annie into the Syndra.
And I gotta say, the damage numbers are absolutely crazy. Not for the Aphelios, that is expected. It's the Shyvana that I'm very surprised about. I mean, this man lost like what? 3 1v1s back to back to back, essentially, and still managed to outdamage his counterpart, who killed him in those 1v1s. So Shyvana still getting the damage numbers up in this game. But yeah, Gordo, I mean, it really was the Shogo show on the Aphelios in game number 4. Now to take us to game number 5, he's going to have to be the one that steps up and delivers them to the finish line. And oh boy, from a guy who was a substitute in eSub, rather, this is a team that has been losing 2 bans because of his existence. Would be absolutely crazy if he was the one to give them the title at the end of all of this.
Gonna still be a hard-fought game number 5. Contingent looked good for 2 games in a row here. Now looking a little bit more like game number 1. Let's see what these drafts have in store for us for our 5th and final game. Going the full distance for this Split's grand final. We're going to throw it to a break. We will see everybody on the other side for game number 5. Welcome back, everybody, to game number 5 of the ACL Grand Finals. One final game, one best of one, with 40 champions banned away to determine who will be taking home this ACL title. Apex will be on the blue side, Contingent on the red.
And Gordo, I feel like for us as casters, this is simultaneously the most exciting game to cast in a best of 5 series, but also one of the most difficult, because while we absolutely love the hype generated around 5-game bangers, it is impossible to predict what these teams are going to play with so many champions taken off the board. I mean, like you said, it is 80 characters, or 40 characters rather, and then the 7 banned away. So it's going to be an interesting draft. I felt like game number 4 was really interesting. I mean, we talk about the lack of frontline, the lack of initiation for Contingent. It felt like they were a little on the ropes champion pool wise. So what do they have left in the tank is really a big question that I'm asking myself, because when they get those comfort picks, we saw what happened in games 2 and 3. Do they have any of those left though? That's something that has to be on our mind after game number 4.
I have to wait and see. I'm sure. In fact, I know for a fact that Jenkins has more goofy top lane picks. Haven't seen the Warwick top yet, dog. You can't say that Jenkins is done until you see the Warwick top. We haven't seen the Kled. Played the Kled a couple days ago as well to great success. He has more in the tank. I know Mike Young has got some creative picks as well. He's been willing to go for the Kindred.
Oh, Cenoband Ashe is open.
Cenoband Ashe is open. Ashe Seraphine could be in the cards. It will be the first pick for these teams. Seraphine, first pick for Contingent. This will be what Mixture stakes the series on.
All right, Mixture throwing down the gauntlet here. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't just immediately go for the Ashe. I think that champion has a lot more pairings still available that you could go for, like the Braum. So Apex could look to just do like Ashe Braum here on 1-2, but instead they're gonna stake their claim completely away from the bot side. Galio Aatrox insta locked in here for Apex, and Contingent have a free segue into Ashe Seraphine.
Are going to get to take Ashe Seraphine into the Shogo Kelpo bot lane. What do they have prepared here? I mean, the Lucian Melio duos, no, the Melio's banned away, but the Lucian Nami is still up. You can go for Lucian Nami if that does.
You can.
Your boat is
You're so heavily outranged though. You have no way to get onto them. That's the difficulty. So you need something that can match them in range, but like Caitlyn is taken off the board. I mean, Sivir is still open and available. Like, you could try and go for something like that, but I don't really associate Sivir with someone like Shogo. I'm wondering if he is just willing to put that in the bag for game 5 purposes. But continuing the poke train on Contingent, we've got the Victor insta locked in here for Season of Leaves, so gives you that range that we know he likes to play around with, but against what I imagine to be the Galio does come with a lot of risks. He is very easily able to close that gap and set up for some gank timers. Yasuo Gordo locked in here for game 5. Apex are cooking here.
So this is surely the Shogo Yasuo bot. This is something that he played during his time on CCG. He's also played it in various ACLs that he's played in before as well. This is a pick he's known to bust out from time to time. Will be very effective against the Encore, maybe a little less effective against the Victor. But
it'll be effective there, but it will also be great because look at the knockups on the other side of Apex. There are multiple segues into the fight as Yasuo. So Last Breath going to be very easy to come by. If he does get fed, very easy for him to join up in a fight, which I think is something that you usually worry about for Yasuo lock-ins here in competitive.
Well, and now my question is, what do you take to get this engaged train rolling, right? Yeah, maybe you find one Darken Blade to single target Last Breath, but to get a big Wombo combo, they don't have anything for that as of now. They don't have any way to get Galio in. They need a diver for this composition, and they haven't locked one in yet. There is no Rel. There is no most of these traditional deep engaged champions, they're going to have to reach pretty deep in the tank.
I mean, you could go Leona, like that starts up a fight. Alistar starts up a fight. I will advocate.
Crazy.
Alistar is banned though. Braum is available still, and I feel like for a poke comp, Braum might actually be the play here. I agree with you. The lack of heart engage available in the support role is really daunting. They're gonna lock in Zilean?
It is, in fact, the Kelpo Zilean. It makes an appearance
Who's starting these fights, guys? Who on any of these teams is starting up these fights? I mean,
top laner still to be picked. Top laner still to be picked. I'm pretty sure this is the Mike Young Aatrox, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's the Jenkins Aatrox. This could be like a Zac jungle.
But it could. If it's Aatrox in the jungle, then it's either Galio or Yasuo top lane, unless it's Yasuo bot. We know Shogo loves to play Yasuo AD carry, so yeah, that is a possibility. That is
I've just been assuming that's the case. I think that's his Ashe counter.
But you're right. I should have picked up on that. So Yasuo going to be in the bot lane. Still do have the top laner available. So yeah, I think top lane R5 is going to be the last pickup here for Apex. It's gotta engage. It's gotta be frontline. Urgot is here. Skarner is here. Contingent have crafted themselves a really good front to back squad here, Gordo. And Apex, they've got a lot of damage. They've got a lot of follow-up, but they don't have a go button.
Wait, this is a self-counter pick, though. You can't fear beyond death people if they get chrono shifted. You're going to get denied your big AoE fear.
That is true. Olaf, maybe? Like, you could do Olaf. I think that is a play.
It's Vladimir. We're not engaging fights ever.
We're not engaging fights. We're just scaling. Holy moly, that is a lot of magic damage.
Shogo EQ Flash is the only engage in the entire game.
It really is. So I feel like the onus then has to be on the Galio here. It's going to be Xiao Danny that we're looking at to start up these fights. Usually Galio is used as like a extra bit of potency for an engage. Like he is the second punch off of an engage because then he ults into someone who gets into the fray, but he's gonna have to be the one starting up the fight. So that creates a really interesting dynamic, I think, for this 5v5. I don't absolutely hate it. I think that Apex have the superior scaling and have a lot of damage under their belt come late game with this Vladimir. But my biggest concern is how they're going to start up fights. Can Xiao Danny deliver on these engages, and can Contingent match the scaling post 20 minutes? They've got a good front to back, but they will be at the mercy of Shogo once he gets past 2 items, and Bob Jenkins once he gets past 3.
I think Apex have burnt it here, Quacks. I'm not going to lie to you. Geiger on his Urgot. This is a classic Geiger pick. He should be comfortable on it. I have no idea what the matchup of the Vladimir is like, and I don't know that I care. I don't know how Apex are going to get these fights started. Contingent are just going to poke with Ashe Vladimir. They're going to have superior sustain with their Seraphine. They just need to not get blown out of the water here. And Mixture going to face check into Shogo, but the superior range of Daption is going to win out this exchange for them. He's going to run them down, continuing to proc lethal tempo and keeping Shogo low. Already a tough start for the Apex bot lane.
That last note hitting too, just to add insult to injury. Shogo and Kelpo taken down to half HP. Can't even get near the wave. I don't think they're in XP range even, Gordo.
They are going to go forward. Geiger going to be advancing forward on towards Jenkins and is going to be able to chunk him out pretty low.
We can see the superior range advantage coming through here from both side lanes of Contingent Esports. It's even having its own effect in mid, as Season of Leaves already has Xiao Danny forced to pop his pots in the lane. And it's taken down to about half HP without any real trade back. That stun barely, or rather that taunt barely going to be dodged there by Contingent's mid laner. And this is going to be a tough early game for them. We kind of talked about it in the draft where they've just got the superior range and the superior damage in the first few minutes of the match, but late game really is where they have to put all of their eggs.
Now, Xiao Danny going to take a little bit of harassment from Season to start off this laning phase as well. And Contingent, they are liking the lane matchups that they've got for themselves here. I mean, obviously the Vladimir is going to scale with time. Obviously the Galio going to be able to absorb the damage from this Victor over the course of the game. but these early leads feel like they are going to go into Contingent's favor basically across the board. It's going to give a very easy early clear over to Schernfire on the Skarner, which is going to be the tankiest champion in the game. And we've already talked about how difficult these later game fights are going to be for the likes of Apex. I just feel like it's so hard to find anything wrong with Contingent's game plan, as First Blood will be traded out.
Ooh, Mike Young is on a flank.
One to pick it up, as here it comes Shogo. They are trying to call over Mike Young, but Shogo going to get turned around on. He stays alive.
Auto attack!
He will be finished off by Mixture, and Dapture going to be able to flash away from Mike Young. Now trying to turn away the play back onto him, slowing him up the whole way through. Flash forward for the beat drop for Mixture. Mike Young taking him possibly low, still staying alive with a sliver. Schernfire in here with the Ishtal's impact will be able to take out Mike Young for a second kill to Contingent in the extended play. Bomb over the wall from Kelpo might get him a kill back onto Schernfire, but actually the shield might just be too much. This is support Zillion. He doesn't do a damn thing to this Skarner. Flash from Schernfire, traded out with by the flash from Xiao Danny, and Contingent get away with murder. A 2-for-0 play.
That is an absolutely brutal start for Team Apex in a game where we already said early game would be the struggle. They commit all of the flashes to that play and they come up empty-handed, Gordo. Contingent get themselves a plethora of kills. And then on the top side too, Geiger with the 1-for-1. It is absolutely worth it because the wave is going to push back into him, so he'll be able to pick up more farm, and the flashless Vladimir will be forced to play up while Schernfire is on this top side.
Pushed back away. Season of Leaves. Just holding it down in mid. Got a bunch of free CS there, while Xiao Danny roamed down to bottom lane. And just stacking up on this Victor. Going to be feeling pretty comfortable with his position in the game, and I think I'm going to be saying that about a lot of Contingent members this game. Maybe not Mixture at this very moment, who loses about half his HP to a nice combo from Kelpo to set up for Shogo to be able to trade. But I mean, this is a summonerless melee AD carry pushed into the enemy tower. He is a sitting duck for the Skarner, and diving's not really in the cards. This is just such a tough position for Apex to play. They have to back off immediately and just take the recall.
Geiger dropping the ignite. Pool expended.
Yep. And just taking full advantage while this Vladimir still doesn't have max transfusion and still doesn't have Hemo Plague. Hasn't really built up too much of a CS lead, but of course did get that solo kill earlier for the First Blood. Still, Jenkins able to trade back effectively and is able to keep his health not too bad of a position.
Yeah, he's got the sustain to be able to at least last in the laning phase, but like, you're pushing the wave in. You've got to be really cautious where you step. You do have that ward, so it gives you Phaelite vision. And you don't even have to worry about the Skarner because he is on the bot side. But Dragon is being started up here. And Mike Young is wrapping around this area, but I do not know if Apex can actually look to fight this.
Well, and I mean, Xiao Danny just gets caught right off the bat. They're just going to take the fight into him. Ishtal's
they just give up the Dragon.
They surrender the Dragon. And Xiao Danny actually going to be able to turn the tables on him. Uses the heroic entrance as an escape. And they're going to try to run them down here. Mike Young waiting inside the pixel brush. Will be able to dash his way back out. I think Contingents have flubbed this a little bit. They get over aggressive. They are going to snag Kelpo here at the end. Shogo advancing forward, trying to take this fight. Kelpo stays alive. Double lockup from Shogo will get them back onto Schernfire, but Xiao Danny gonna get dropped down to the backside. Really big stun. Found by Season of Leaves. Places the gravity well perfectly. Knock connects on adaption. Shogo trying to step up, trying to be the big carry. Cannot find the damage. Mike Young gets another Darkened Blade on adaption. He's able to dodge out on these additional tornadoes. Mixture's been left off to dry. Shogo dashes back through. Shogo finds Daption. Season of Leaves and Shogo battling out for fruit. Gets them enough mana to be able to turn it back, and Season of Leaves will end that life. Now it's Mike Young able to finish off Mixture, able to get one back for the likes of Apex, as this fight's a mess, Quacks.
This is game number 5 incarnate. Absolute chaos has hit the bot side of the map. It's kills and blood flying left, right, and center. But at the end of all of it, Apex get a little bit more gold back into their hands. Mike Young crucially picking up 2 kills. But then also the Dragon going their way. Contingent, I agree with you, flubbing the initial play early by giving up control of that pit in favor of a pick onto Xiao Danny, which he ends up getting away from.
But now Daption in the 1 versus 2 for a couple of moments. Doesn't have Mixture there for the backup, losing a lot of his life. Going to get rooted up, but Shogo is stuck under the turret. Takes multiple shots and has to back on away. He finds himself at similar health to Daption. Daption able to barely space out that bomb. And Mixture dishing out as much damage as his weak Seraphine can muster. Will be able to push back the Yasuo.
Right. You can see Daption trying to play a little bit further up. Jenkins in trouble. Flashes away.
Flashes to the top side. I'm gonna have an aneurysm, Quacks. This is...
I'm gonna have a heart attack. Yeah, I mean, this is...
I'll trade
this is
you.
game 5. You want to trade? Okay, a deal.
Trade medical conditions, medical emergencies.
Yeah. I mean, heart attack, I mean, if you've ever watched Young Sheldon, you know how dangerous a heart attack can be. Remember George Cooper?
Jeez, man, that's a dark reference.
I mean,
I haven't even watched that show, but that character dies. Anyway, let's get it. Daption. Spoilers aside, Daption gets out of here. Shogo taking a lot of damage. Daption taking low. He's turning the fight back on a Kelpo. Shogo's on top of him, and Shogo finds the kill in the 2 versus 2. Gets the last breath on a Mixture. Gets his shield right back. Chrono shift on top of him. Mixture's got to avoid touching him, but there's nobody else to get the kill because this is Mike Young coming to guarantee this fight for Apex. 2 for 0.
It seems like the game is turning around. Apex are playing their lanes properly. Jenkins is going in for a fight. Good puddle there.
Oh, but here comes Xiao Danny as soon as the puddle ends. It's going to be the heroic entrance coming on through to be able to get Geiger out of this play. Schernfire thinks he's got a chance, though. Gets on top of him. Has the 3 versus 2. Pull back in from Geiger. Gets the execution onto Xiao Danny from a sliver of HP and will put that back into Contingent's pockets.
Sliver indeed gets the kill. More gold onto the Urgot, but he's got to be careful. Jenkins has the Swifty boots. He is a very, very hungry boy, and he's very fast when he gets hungry. We can see on the bot side, Mike Young looking to steal away some camps because Schernfire showed himself on the top side. And really, this has to be where our eyes are glued to, Gordo. Shogo now is starting to really turn the tables in this 2v2. Daption and Mixture aren't able to leverage their range advantage like they were when we started this game. And the Yasuo is taking advantage of that at every single opportunity.
Yeah, look, we don't love the draft. We don't love the lack of engage. We don't love the lack of range. And we're a little bit worried about how some of these later game engagements will go, but Shogo has the ball in his hands, has the opportunity to carry, and that's what Apex have drafted for. They get the engage on towards Schernfire, and he will not be long for the world. He melts down in no time flat, and now they're going to look for the dive. Chrono Shift going to make this a lot more doable for Contingent, and Daption and Mixture are wishing they were not in this position. It looks like Apex are not going to pursue it, though.
They might have to just straight up force the 2v2. If the dive is that much of a threat, you are better off trying to win out on it with the Aatrox not being involved, but they're just going to hold the wave for now. It doesn't look like Apex are going to commit to the dive. Instead, it's just resources in terms of camps given over to this Aatrox. And Mike Young is having a stellar game so far. 4-1 on the Aatrox jungle. Cyclo Sword complete, and it's only going to get worse. This champion scales into oblivion.
Yeah, definitely. Schernfire coming on in, going to be able to connect the Ishtal's impact onto Xiao Danny, and there's enough damage from Season of Leaves to be able to play this. Geiger snipes him from max range with the Fear Beyond Death, and will claim that kill, and that is going to be a usage of the Chrono Shift. Kelpo trying to get away, speeds up as fast as he can, and zips right out of there. Daption can't connect onto him, but Season of Leaves from the back line will get onto him and will cut off.
Mike Young is on the backside.
Now getting some chunk damage onto Shogo. Here comes Mike Young, trying to turn it back around, but he's in a 1 versus 3. He cuts down Daption in one shot and will be able to turn it back. There's going to be the big impale coming on across. They will be able to turn it back onto the likes of Xiao Danny, but he is going to be able to be up in the front line. Shogo trying to dash on through, dies to Season of Leaves. The lasers might just be too much. The Blackfire Torch staying applied to as many targets as you can possibly find, and his flank is what makes the difference. 4-0-4 for the youngest player to ever play in an ACL final.
Yep, the shields do a lot in keeping them alive, but also the Protoplasm Harness from Schernfire comes in clutch. He does go down, but it buys him enough time to where a bunch of the damage from the remaining members can start to be delivered onto some other targets. So the Skarner's death certainly not in vain. Dragon has been up for a little bit now, and we can see that Mike Young is back onto the bot side. He's got a full encampment of camps, I should say, on the top side. He's not going for that. He's instead going to be going for this objective, and Apex will be the ones with the early dragon stacking. Gordo, this is feeling reminiscent of the early games that Apex were going to be able to try and snowball to wins, but the ones that Contingent at the same time were able to come back from. And when I think of it like that, I do have to be a little bit worried.
Hard not to be. It's dead even here. 9-11 on the scoreboard, pretty much 23K apiece, couple hundred gold, separating these teams here at 13 minutes. But this Victor, Season of Leaves on his Lux was so critical in at least one Contingent win. His Anivia was near perfect in a second Contingent win. And him on the Victor feels like he is going to be the crucial component that determines whether or not they can close out this series.
Jenkins, though, is scaling. The Aatrox is scaling. Yasuo is scaling. Season of Leaves is off to a beautiful start, as you say, with the Victor, and I absolutely agree, but he is going to be up against a lot of champions that will match him in the damage department once 3 items start to be the norm for most of these characters on the map.
Is Chemtech Soul, by the way, for anybody who hasn't gotten to see. So that is what is going to be on.
That's so huge for Apex, by the way. I mean,
it's a great choice for Apex. Oh, downtown, Enchanted Crystal Arrow. I don't know if that's enough to be able to pick up the kill. He had used Gravity Well earlier, so they can't chain the CC, and now Dapchin getting collapsed on, wishing he had an arrow right about now. Will instead have to use the flash, but now they're trying to turn it back. Gonna see if they can run these guys down as Schernfire
Shogo has flash.
pops the Ishtal's impact, picks up Shogo, pulls him out, able to dash right back through to get back away.
Ooh.
Impale gonna be short. Xiao Danny able to sneak away by the skin of his teeth.
Oh,
but there's a massive encore onto 2. Chained on top of the Gravity Well, sent back into the resurrection is gonna be Shogo. He comes back at half HP, just finds himself face to face with a beat drop. Has held in place for 10 years. Apex cannot escape. 3-0 Contingent.
And with a clutch double encore to get the kills over to Contingent. He finds his mark. It's not going to amount to anything around the map, but it will give a little bit more gold into members that need it. Season of Leaves now 6-0-5. We don't have time to stop, though. Jenkins is looking for the dive.
Trying to get the solo kill, trying to pull it back, goes inside the pool, stays alive through fear beyond death because of the pool. That is insane, Jenkins. He was in execute range the whole time.
Jenkins, though, has to be careful about staying up. I think his pool is still on cooldown.
This guy's Faker. All right, he goes down. It's been stopped.
That's been stopped for now. But still really good pickup kill. And I mean, even though the Vladimir goes down there, he's still getting items. He's still getting gold. Proto Belt, this is the weakest he's going to be from now until the future, the end of this game. It's only going to get worse here for this champion. And there really isn't a ton of magic resist being built by anyone else, as now Season of Leaves is practically a dead man.
Yeah, this is way too far up for Season. Was not prepared for the 3-man collapse. They chant the Crystal Arrow is short. Fear Beyond Death fired out. Connects onto Kelpo. They can't get the follow-up. Geiger's flashing in, thinking he can turn it back around, but he's overexerted himself. There's no backup coming. It's just more members of Apex. Xiao Danny gets a second one handed to him on a silver platter, and now Mixture and Schernfire are getting run down next. They manage to throw Shogo up against the wall. They're going to try to kite back against him. They throw him back into the Chrono Shift Resurrection. There's going to be an encore across 2, but Mike Young going to be able to make quick work of that support. Knockup connects. Schernfire turns it back. Takes Shogo under the turret. Daps are going to be able to finish him, but Mike Young with the Darkened Blades will keep on fighting. Gets himself the double kill. Season of Leaves arrives, but the fight is already over.
Oh my God, Gordo. This game just keeps on delivering. But again, Schernfire manages to turn it back a little bit for Contingent. Slam Shogo into the wall. They find the kill onto the Yasuo. And Contingent have a foothold on the bot side here. Dragon going to be up in 30 seconds. And it is crucial. It is pivotal. It is necessary that they are the ones to deny the stacking here. Geiger is pushing on the top side. He has the teleport. And if you wanted something to kill the hype. There was a temporary
Oh my God.
there was a temporary pause, but it's the definition of temporary. It just dies in 1 second.
And speaking of temporary, Mixture not going to be here for very long. Mike Young dunks him with the Darkened Blade 3. I'm going to be honest, more than any other team fight, that pause made my heart stop, Quacks. I need a break after that one. I don't know what to tell you.
We're not getting any breaks here. It's game number 5, grand final.
Are we? Okay.
Nope, we're back. Nobody panic. Dragon gonna be given over to Apex. You can see that Mike Young is the guy soloing that one out. So Soul Point gonna be available here for Team Apex. And the scaling advantage that we talk about for this top side gonna become into full force.
Shogo stepped up.
Shogo!
He stepped up too far. He disrespected Daption. He had already used the wind wall. A quick enchanted crystal arrow is all it takes.
This is certainly a game 5, as now Xiao Danny is being dove under his tower.
Yeah, Fear Beyond Death. That's gonna be a quick end to the Galio. 2 kills, cross map. And now maybe more. Kelpo's getting found in rotation. Where's my Zillion going, brother? Season of Leaves is about to cook him. But here's Mike Young on the side. Season of Leaves way too close to this guy. World Ender is popped. Healing to spare. And they can't work their way through. He's still at full HP. Geiger gonna get in here, trying to do work, trying to stop the jungler. Gets the shutdown, but will not survive against Jenkins for long. That's Daption's job. He's got to be able to pump in the damage. Shurnfire not gonna last long at all. Mixture gonna be the next target. Daption stunned on the opposite side. Shogo's back involved. It's gonna be Daption able to run down and kill off the Time Lord, but Xiao Danny, Shogo, Jenkins all still back alive. Daption's gotta back out of here.
It feels so hard for Contingent to play out these fights because the moment they deal with one Armageddon Avengers level threat on the side of Apex with the scaling, another one rears its ugly head, pops right into the topside river, and manages to take 2 more along with him. Contingent are back against the wall. It feels like the scaling advantage is overwhelming them in these fights.
And I gotta look at who we've been counting on for Contingent to have carry them all along. It's Season of Leaves. This guy got handed so much gold to kick off this game. You gotta be positioning further away from the Aatrox, brother. He's melee range with him to start off that fight. He does basically nothing, and they need more than 1 damage dealer to be able to contend with all of the carries on the Apex composition. There's just so many threats.
We do. But it feels so difficult to look at other members that could be carries on the side of Contingent. I mean, Daption, he's going to get blown up by literally anybody on Apex. It is going to be one shot after one shot for them in this fight, as they attempted to take Herald, and that got stopped because Baron spawned. So a bit of a dirt moment there from Apex in game number 5 here.
Well, you know, it's sometimes there's not a play to be had. Geiger's going to be able to push out Xiao Danny in the side lane.
But again, I think the conversation has to come back to, we've got the scaling threat of the Victor to be able to contend with these Apex champions in the late game. But what beyond that do we have? Geiger is eventually going to fall off. Daption, if he gets hit by even a tiny bit of crowd control or any of these abilities, he's a dead man. Geiger is just picking up solo kills onto Xiao Danny. But the scaling threat just feels like it is singular for the side of Contingent, but it is multiple on the side of Apex. And that could be the difference maker as we coast into beyond the 20-minute mark.
Healing reduction picked up for as many members as can find it. Daption might be up too far. Shogo coming back in. That is his flash utilized.
Yep.
Dangerous territory for the Contingent 80 carry. He will not have that up for this crucial Dragon Soul fight.
He won't, and this really is the definition of crucial, Gordo. This would be Soul for Apex, and it would be a Chemtech Soul at that. We talk about the survivability, and the healing has already been off the charts for Jenkins and Mike Young, and Shogo as well. If he gets the Chemtech, he's going to be able to keep on going, along with the Chrono Shift that has been doing him so many favors in a lot of these extended trades. It's going to be so hard to get those executes, to get those resets for the Victor. They've got to be able to contest it. They've got to be able to stop it here and now. You can see Geiger is patrolling the bot side river, but Mike Young is also in the area as this extremely fed 3-item Aatrox.
And even picking up the Dragon is just not that big of a win for Contingent, so they've got to keep Season up top here, clearing waves up against Jenkins, because they can't afford to just feed turrets into this guy. It's a tough decision point for Contingent. The fact that they've given up so many Dragons is putting them in a bit of a pickle here, Quacks. It's hard for them to make the right choice. Sternfire going to get found here. Does have Geiger at his back. He's just going to try to pull the trigger and get in here for an engage. Mixture going to find Mike Young. Darken Blades across the team, dealing boatloads of damage. Shout Danny with a turbo blast cone. Nearly gets his way in there. They are pushed back. Contingent don't lose any members. They just lose a lot of Sternfire's health. But now the river belongs to Apex.
They do have the benefit of the honey fruits as well as Seraphine to be able to heal him up a little bit, but Mixture himself is at about half HP. So losing the Seraphine, losing access to that crucial healing of the champion and that ability to get an extended fight off with it, you have to keep that in the back of your mind. You have to make sure Mixture is untouched. Jenkins is being zoned off from the fight right now, but so is Season. That's your main source of damage, not currently in this fight around the Dragon.
Season won't be able to get there immediately, but he will be able to get there faster. The Dragon is going to be the focus right now.
Oh, Xiao Danny!
There's a massive flank found by Xiao Danny to taunt up everybody. Jenkins gets a 1v1 kill up against Season. It's a huge pullback found by the likes of the Impale, but the only person taken down is going to be immediately revived back up by Kelpo. Mike Young will not drop. Job Jenkins will not drop. Finally, they find a moment to shoot at him, but he's able to flash on out and stay alive. Only 2 members fall, and they're both wearing Contingent jerseys. They knock up Couchfire. They nearly are able to take him down, but he is able to stay standing for a little bit longer. Diving into the back line is Xiao Danny, trying to pump through the damage, but all the damage dealers have fallen by the wayside. Tiger going to join the list of names that cannot team fight against Team Apex, and a TP back from the Vladimir in the top lane will secure an ace for Apex.
And that might have just been the game right there, Gordo. Apex are going to pick themselves up a soul. Contingent weren't able to get the team fight when it mattered most. And Xiao Danny, we talk about the lack of engage and the needed to be on the Galio, but he delivers a flank on the Galio, an entrance for the Yasuo, and Apex circle around and destroy Contingent.
It shouldn't be possible, Quacks. Against all odds, they roll the Chemtech Soul. They find the empowered blast cone. They launch the Galio into the midst of the enemy team, and Daption gets caught out. In a team comp that has no way to engage the team fights, Apex gets a perfect one.
And Mike Young now, lore accurate Aatrox, Death Stance, Chemtech Soul, a bunch of healing already. This guy is a never dying, and then on top of that, you've got to contend with the Zillion ultimate being a possibility to just revive him up as well. The jungler for Team Apex, the guy who has seen the heights of Tier 1, who has been in the scene for so long, who has been the engine of this team's macro. Now 11-4-7 in Game 5 on the Aatrox jungle to take it home and win them the championship, as Sternfire is in the middle of so many, but he can't deliver the damage.
No, goes out for the Impale, not going to be able to connect it. Xiao Danny caught a little bit far away from the rest of the team. They're going to try to for the execute onto this guy, and they get it. They get a 3-man fear. Daption has a space to open up. Apex caught completely unaware by a flash fear beyond death from Geiger will produce the most one-sided fight of the whole damn game. Contingent wipe 4 off the map.
What did he just do on this Seraphine? Jenkins is the only one up. Apex are all down except for the top laner. They want to go for the Baron. But again, we talk about the survivability of the Aatrox. We can extend that same courtesy to the Vladimir, and Contingent get the fight win, but they don't want to risk staying around when Bob Jenkins is still on the map.
Bob Jenkins, 1 versus 4, stops the Baron. This guy is so strong, but Mixture and Geiger together find the team fight yet again.
And we look at this replay, I mean, 3-man encore into flash execute. Fear hits them all. You could seal the Hanmoon with that encore, honestly. The Demons are not coming to Korea anytime soon. What a beautiful fight there from the Contingent support. Mixture just hit potentially the thing that could save his team. and could get them the trophy, as the gold lead is right back to even. But still, Apex are the ones with that soul. But now that they win that fight, it feels like Elder might be more of a possibility, Gordo.
And that is likely what will determine the game here. Securing the Elder will undo a whole lot of advantage created by that Chemtech Soul. Contingent could find a path into the game, but Mike Young coming in on the flank, sees both carries. He's got Seedlings isolated in much the same category. Impale going to find its way onto Shogo, but the Fear Beyond Death does not land onto a priority target. Jenkins is able to finish off Daption. Season leaves, falls to Mike Young, and as easily as a path was found into the game, that door is shut by Apex. 4, 5 members fall. A clean ace for Apex will likely end this game, if not take the majority of the Contingent base.
I think it might be over. They've got 20 seconds. I think they can attempt to look for an end. They don't have the greatest wave clear, but that's not going to matter. They've got the Chemtech Soul. They've got the survivability. They've got the drive. They've got the killer instinct. They are Team Apex, looking to be your ACL champions.
Daption up in 2 seconds, Seasonal leaves up in 3, but they will have no Nexus turrets. They will have no ability to stop Apex from closing this game out. No engage, no problem. Team Apex get their fight, get their win, and in 5 games, they will crown themselves ACL champions.
2 bans being denied away from them does not matter. Shogo, a guy who has seldom played with this group, the synergy maybe not completely there, does not matter. Team Apex will be your ACL champions. A 5-game banger and a bit of a scare around the Baron, but they get the job done. In 5 hours, we have been going here, Gordo. All of it culminates in us being able to crown a new Aegis champion here tonight.
And Mike Young with a tremendous final game here. Our first ACL champion with California Irvine, probably 8 splits ago now, or at least 8 ACLs ago. More splits than that, because there's been splits without ACLs. Now our latest champion up against much higher level competition and up against that gold chart.
Good God.
Will find a way to come up with the win on the Aatrox jungle.
What a crazy series. What a way to end the ACL season. We have seen teams who we expected to make it extremely far, to be maybe even in this series, Gordo, get denied. We have seen teams who we never expected to even make the playoffs make deep runs. This ACL has been chock full of surprises, but at the end of the day, we anticipated that Contingent and Team Apex would be 2 of the favorites to get into the grand finals, and I'm glad that we were at least right on that prediction. One thing is for sure, these 2 both deserved to be in the top 2, to be on the brightest lights the ACL has to offer. They both delivered. And Apex just that little bit better in game number 5. The scaling advantage wins through, and they're able to take that win. Such an insane series. And yeah, wouldn't have had it be the last one any other way. I would not have had it this series any other way than to be a 5-game banger.
Absolutely here. A huge win for these guys. Guys like Xiao Danny, who have been seeking an ACL title for so long, made playoffs 5 times, never been able to make a finals week, and now does it with this team, bringing together some UCI teammates, getting Jenkins to come back out, or pseudo retirement for an ACL. I don't want to put retirement in that guy's mouth. He never said that he wasn't playing anymore, but he did take a hiatus. There was a time period where we were playing NA League of Legends without Jenkins in it. And he comes back with a vengeance here. Massive Vladimir game for him to be able to close out the series as well. Yep. And Kelpo coming out of the woodwork. I mean, you got to give this guy props as well. I think this is I still think it's only a 2nd ACL series. I cannot prove that because we don't have the match history from the play-ins. But it's been on this roster as a sub most of the split, was not on the starting lineup. comes on in for these last two most important series and plays tremendously. Was not a liability at all.
No, he absolutely wasn't. Kelpo and Shogo coming in from the top rope, absolutely deliver. Shogo with such an insane 1v9 performance on the Aphelios in game number 4 to bring us to Silver Scrapes, and then it kind of felt like he passed the baton onto his top side. Not to say that it was a liability, because he certainly wasn't. He just wasn't the main carry force, in my opinion, of game number 5. Even though he had impact as that Yasuo, it really was Mike Young, Bob Jenkins, these two guys who have been up and down and left and right in their very long careers of League of Legends, being able to take it home and deliver a win for Team Apex. So a lot of credit over to them, but credit over to everyone in this series, even the members of Contingent, for being able to go for 5 games. The endurance test, I think all 10 members passed.
All right, well, we have Xiao Danny, Mike Young, and Bob Jenkins joining us for a post-match interview here in just a few moments. We're going to throw it to a quick break, but we will be back with those 3. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL. We are joined by Jenkins, Xiao Danny, and Mike Young of Team Apex, fresh off a 3-2 5-game grand finals win. Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to start this off. I always forget to do this for the big multi-person interviews. Can you guys all introduce yourselves with your name so that we know who is talking by voice, since we don't have all your individual cams here?
We're still going to mess it up, by the way, for sure.
We'll still mess it up, but let's start out with Jenkins.
Hey, yeah, this is Jenkins. Thanks for having me
Danny?
on. This is Xiao Danny. Thanks for
I'm
having
Mike
me.
Young.
This is Mike Young.
Very good. Thank you all. Hopefully that's going to be enough for those listening in at home. You guys will do your best. We'll try our best to direct who we're asking questions to as well. First things first, Jenkins, we are going to give you our finals MVP. Some crazy picks coming in this series. The Vladimir to end it all on R5, or I guess counter pick 5, as we would call it now with first selection. Yeah. What brings you to that pick in the draft, even when you have a team comp without real engage, with a Yasuo on it? How do you make the call to go for the Vladimir and not some more traditional engage or frontline?
Honestly, for me in playoffs, I felt that like if I don't pick anything that I feel like I can carry or have agency on, you could kind of see like how we like leaned off like side like completely by the last series. Like I feel like it is harder for me to see a way to win the game. Whereas at least when I'm playing like a carry like that, there's like a it's hard to explain, but like for me it's like I can actually like see like a win con, like how I can actively win the game.
Yeah, for sure. And so I guess I do want to talk a little bit further about the drafts for Game 5. And this kind of goes toward the more veteran members, Jenkins and Mike Young, if you guys want to answer this one. But like, you guys have been around the space, the scene for a really long time. And with that comes experience on a lot of different champions. So going into game number 5, did either of you feel at all pressured for picks that you were comfortable on going into that game? Because I know a lot of teams, once they get down the line to those champions, they start to maybe run out of picks they feel really confident on and really feel like they can actually take forward into a competitive series, much less grand finals, and get the job done. Did you guys feel that pressure in draft at all going into Silver Scrapes?
Yeah, I can take this question. So actually, funny enough, I wasn't planning to play any of the meta champions that he banned, like the Jarvan, the Pantheon, the Nocturne, because I really wanted to play like a fun carry champion. It's been so long since I competed, I just wanted to enjoy it. And also, I think I was playing really well across each early game, so I just had the confidence that if you put me on a carry, I can take over the early to mid game.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, well, I want to direct one over to Xiao Danny. You were, you're at least point of contact for this team, so I'm gonna call that team captain a little bit. Curious about how you bring on Kelpo. This is a player that we haven't seen very much of. Played for Near Airport a little bit, but it's a real thin Leaguepedia article. Curious as to how he ends up joining up with this team and what it's been like playing pre-made comp with a player who doesn't have as many reps, at least not in ACLs or other things that we kind of have record of.
Yeah, 100%. So I would say that last year I was watching a good bit of NACL, and I did notice that Kelpo was subbing in for Biofrost, and we even scrimmed against him a couple of times, and I was, pretty impressed with his gameplay. So when we needed a substitute support, yeah, he was someone that came to mind, and he was very happy to and willing to fill in when needed. And today just happened to be the perfect day for that. So thank you. Shout out to Kelpo.
And then I guess my next question is also directed at Danny, more on your own experience in the ACL in the past. So this is now, I believe, your 5th ACL split with us, and the first one that you have managed to take the dub in when it comes to playoffs. So what was different from this run and this season compared to everything else, you think? What was the big difference maker in your own gameplay, you think, that put you from being able to finish high in the playoffs to being able to actually win the playoffs?
Yeah, great question. So I think the main thing that separated this team with previous teams was probably the team identity. We didn't really get the opportunity to practice much, but throughout the season we were able to realize that, I think, how do I put it? I think when people just play champs that they think are fun, and they see, like, I guess, following the meta is not always necessary, like we didn't really play meta every game, right? And at first we were actually trying to follow the meta, and it didn't go so well. So we kind of just said, all right, let's just have fun and, pick what we think is going to be good here, regardless of if it's meta or not. And I think that plus the fact that I get the opportunity to play with such great players is the game changer. So
Awesome to hear. Awesome to hear. Well, congrats on the win, all of you. Congrats on the title. Finally, Xiao Danny, after so many splits of ACL. Congrats on being back here, Mike. We talked about this after the lower final. Player who hasn't previously gotten to win an ACL despite a lot of playoffs, player who won the first ACL. It's so cool to have you guys back here able to lift that trophy. I want to give last word to all three of you guys. Anybody you want to shout out, anything you want to say before we close out for the ACL split? Jenkins, let's start off with you.
Sorry, I just got back.
Oh, no problem. I'm just asking for shout outs, brother.
Any
Anything-
shout-outs?
Yeah, shout outs.
Close out.
Thank you, Xiao Danny, for making this team. Thank you, all the subs. Philip, Shogo. There was a whole slew of them. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you, ACL, for having me on. It was actually a pretty enjoyable time.
All right, Xiao Danny, you're up.
Sure. Yeah, so thank you guys, first of all, for hosting this. It was a great experience, and it's just really nice to be able to come together and, play in an organized tournament. Thank you to my friends and family that are supporting me. And yeah, shout out to my teammates who are all beasts, and thank you to those who are subbing in. Thank you, Coach Hermes, for leading us in draft and pointing us in the right direction. And shout out to my girlfriend for supporting me. Very grateful for everybody. So, yeah.
Mike Young, last one to you.
Yes. Thank you for having me, everybody. I really enjoyed playing with my team, and I'm very grateful that they let me play champions that I enjoyed playing. I rarely have the time these days to play a lot of Summer's Rift, so there are even games when my team trusted me to first time a champion I played in Aram Mayhem. Even the Aatrox pick in the last game primarily came from Aram Mayhem. And then shout out to the subs. A lot of times we wouldn't even have been able to play just because teams weren't able to reschedule. So shout out to the list that Danny already went over. We rarely had time this split or the last few weeks to even practice, so I'm happy that my team was able to pull it through. I didn't expect us to make it this far, but I'm really glad that we're here.
Bro, rarely? We never had time to practice. We've never practiced once.
Well, our schedules barely made it so we could even meet one day a week.
Okay, that is fair. That is fair.
That's why we did the subs. Like even just the three of us could barely make the regular Friday schedule.
True.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, congratulations once again, guys. Really enjoyed having you this split. Looking forward to the next one. Thank you, everybody at home who tuned on in. It has been a hell of a split. We will be back for the summer for another ACL. Stay tuned for rules changes. Stay tuned for eligibility changes. Stay tuned for dates. All of that and more will be coming on the Aegis server as they become available, but we will at least have a couple of weeks of break first and foremost. Make sure to tune in to the promotion tournament starting off next week. You're going to see plenty of faces from the ACL competing in that event. You're also going to see Quacks over in that event. I hope I was allowed to say that. Oh, well, I'm sorry about that. Well, with that said, thank you, everybody, for tuning on in, and we will see you all next time. Shout out once again to... I can't believe it. Shout out once again to ZenMarket and to everybody on production and behind the scenes on the staff. We will see you all next split.
Bro, just use ZenMarket.